Good evening, everybody, and welcome to tonight's ordinary meeting of Council on the 10th of June 2026, and I declare this meeting open at 6 p.m. Welcome to those in the gallery, those watching online, to our staff and councillors. The City of Swan acknowledges the traditional custodians of this region, the Whadjuk people of the Noongar Nation, and their continuing connection to the land, waters and community. And we pay our respects to elders past, present, their descendants and emerging. Now to the disclaimer. The terms and conditions of entry into this meeting are posted on the door just as you enter. If you could please ensure that you have read them prior to attending this meeting and also abide by them. Attendance and apologies. We have all council members in attendance except for Councillor McCulloch and Councillor Takiro, who are on leave. Part 4 is the disclosure of financial proximity interests and interests affecting impartiality. We have disclosures of interest from Councillor Johnson, who declared an impartiality interest in item 14.3.1, and this was consideration of submissions for the proposed amendment number 236 to Local Planning Scheme number 17. That was to rezone lots 312 and 313, number 160 to 162 Great Eastern Highway, Midvale from public purposes to highway services, LPS 17-236. As the owner of the land is Department of Fire and Emergency Services for DFAS, and he is a volunteer firefighter for DFAS. Mr. Kane declared an impartiality interest in item 14.3.3, the proposed amendment number 240 to Local Planning Scheme number 17, to reclassify lots 20 and 501 Adelaide Street, Hazelmere, from general rural to special use as a result of approved MRS amendment number 1375/27, LPS 17-240, and also item 14.3.4, the proposed amendment number 242 to Local Planning Scheme number 17, which was to reclassify lots 3 and 192 Adelaide Street and lots 800 and 1 Stirling Crescent, Hazelmere, from general rural to special use as a result of approved MRS amendment number 1375/27, LPS 17-242, as his son works for Planning Solutions. Are there any other councillors that need to submit a declaration of interest, please? If there is, if you could please fill out the form and just hand that up to the CEO. Move to part 5. This is public question time. Questions and answers recorded in the minutes of the meeting may be summarised in accordance with the Local Government Administration Regulations of 1996. All questions received for this meeting have been answered and responded to and have been included in this schedule. All questions will be published in the minutes of this meeting. Move to 5.1. This is answers to questions which were taken on notice. We have questions from Ms Viola Maripodi and also questions which have been answered as well, and from Ms Christine Hughes. So move to 5.2. This is questions relating to reports contained in the agenda. And 5.2.1, questions of which due notice has been given. There have been no questions relating to the items on the agenda sent in with due notice. 5.2.2, this is the section for questions without due notice for items in the agenda only. We have 5 questions from Ms Karen Mowat relating to item number 14.5.1. That's the financial management report for the period ending 30th of April 2026. And item 14.5.2, this is the list of accounts paid April 2026, and these have been answered and also sent to Ms Mowat, and these will form part of the minutes. We also have had Ms Janzek register to answer questions on items on the agenda. So Ms Zek, if you'd like to come up to the podium, and you have 5 questions, please.
Thank you. Advice I received this evening regarding availability of the reports that were instrumental in the EPA making its decision to not formally assess the proposal to rezone North Ellenbrook East in December 2024 and form the basis of the draft amendment number 1 that Council is now required to provide advice on, that is the updated environmental assessment report by Emerge 2023, the Western Swamp Tortoise Eco-Hydrological Impact Assessment by Emerge and Pentium Water in 2023, and the updated ground modelling report by Pentium Water 2023 will be tabled in Parliament on Tuesday, June 16. Can you tell me if the staff had access to these reports to prepare the report to Council for the draft amendment?
Mr van der Linde.
Madam Mayor, through you, those reports were not available as part of this modification to the district structure plan. They formed part of documentation that was submitted to the EPA initially in a request to the EPA on whether the MRS application should be referred to them.
Thank you. A second question.
If the staff didn't have access to these, did they request the documents from DWER or DPLH?
Thank you, Mr van der Linde.
Madam Mayor, no. The modification to the district structure plan relates to additional retention of vegetation, which will eventually impact how the drainage will be managed at local structure plan stage. The district structure plan and the principles approved in the district structure plan, water management plan, that was approved as part of the original district structure plan for this North Ellenbrook East area. Those principles still stay in place. The details around each of these new vegetated areas to be kept will have to be addressed at local structure plan stage, and at that stage there will be a local water management plan that will have to refer back to those original documents on how that impacts the future management of that area.
Thank you. Did you have a third question?
I do. I would have thought that, considering that how important these documents were and how much weight the EPA put on them, that staff would have looked for those documents and requested them, and I don't know what to do about it. I think that yes, the city should be doing more than that, that's for sure.
Is there a question at all?
The question is, how can staff read something like that, how important they are, and still do nothing about it?
Well, it's a bit subjective, but I'll ask Mr van der Linde if he's able to respond.
I'm sure he'll take it on notice.
Yep, we'll take that on notice.
Thank you. Did you have a fourth question?
Oh, yes, I do. Where has the planning and decision-making progressed for the proposed Tonkin Highway interchange to North Ellenbrook?
Thank you. Mr van der Linde?
Madam Mayor, my understanding is that the design has been formalised by Main Roads and that last information that we had, that they were in the process of looking at appointing contractors to do the work.
Okay. And a fifth question?
No, I think I'll leave it there, thanks. I
Thank you very
struggled to
much.
understand most of that.
Okay, thank you, Ms
you.
Eck. I'll ask, is there anyone in the gallery that's not registered wishing to ask any questions relating to items that are in the agenda? Yep. If you'd like to come through. If you'd just like to state your name, please.
So Mark Church from the Vines.
So these are the items in the agenda. Thanks, Mark.
Has my interest in asking questions been confirmed? Do we know?
No, but as long as they're items in the agenda. On the agenda tonight.
Thank you. My 4 questions are, following the meeting last Thursday of the Planning Process Review Committee,
I think these aren't related to the agenda. I don't have a copy. Yes, you need to come back in the next section. Thank you. Was there anyone else? Ms Hughes, do you want to come up? Okay, that will be in the next section. Thank you very much. So we move to 5.3, and this is other questions to items not contained in the agenda. So 5.3.1, questions of which due notice has been given. We've not received any questions with due notice. And we move to 5.3.2. This is questions without due notice. So we've had Mr Dixon Lowe send in 3 questions and Mr Gavin Troy send in 5 questions. These have been answered and will form part of the minutes of this meeting. So we've also had Ms Viola Maripodi and Ms Janzek registered to ask questions. Ms Maripodi, if you'd like to please come to the podium, and you're also able to ask up to 5 questions.
Thank you and good evening everyone. Since the last council meeting on the 13th of May 2026, a serious offence occurred on lot 503 Paradise Keys, Balladura. Unbelievably, the developer, Wattle Fairway Proprietary Limited, on Thursday, May 14, the next morning, destroyed 24 mature protected trees. 20 were along Alexander Drive and 4 were on the development site. These trees were protected and clearly mapped as trees to be retained, yet the developer has blatantly disregarded the city's planning for this site and had them all illegally bulldozed. Therefore, my questions tonight are, 1, does the city acknowledge that this is indeed a serious offence which has severe consequences, including massive fines and stop work orders?
Mr Russell, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Whilst I appreciate the concern with some in the community with the loss of those trees, let me be very clear here. There was no offence. The trees were not protected by any planning mechanism or planning provision that required them to be retained. The developer applied lawfully for their removal and was granted consent. Now I say again, whilst we understand that it grieves some in the community, understandably they were large trees and mature, but there's been no offence, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Mr Russell. Do you have a second question?
I do. While these trees were being destroyed, I notified Mr van der Linde by email and photos of what was taking place. To his credit, he was able to stop work by 1:30 p.m. The only one tree left proudly standing near the corner of Paradise Keys and Alexander Drive, however, by Thursday, May 21, had also been destroyed. Why was this tree destroyed, and was there any attempt to to save it. I presume you've already answered it before. But those trees, may I add, were planted by the City of Swan. They were street trees. So how can he get approval to destroy planted trees by the City of Swan along Alexander Drive?
Thank you. Staff like to respond. Thank you, Mr. Russell.
I think, as Ms Maripodi's alluded, I've more or less answered that. Whilst trees may have been planted at some time by the City of Swan, and whilst many might feel it regrettable that those trees have been removed, they have been removed lawfully.
Thank you. Did you have a third question?
I do. Is the City of Swan going to hold Wattle Fairway? Well, you've already answered it. Can I go to the fourth question?
Yes, thanks.
Will the city demand that not only each tree that was destroyed be replaced, but an offset of 2 to 3 times the amount of trees that were destroyed be replanted on the southern side of Paradise Quay, Lot 502? That is a bare minimum of 48 trees to be replanted at the Emu Swamp Reserve.
Mr. Russell.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Look, I'm pleased to say that Mr Peter Burke of the developer company has indicated their intent to significantly replant the site. I can't recall offhand the number of trees that he proposed to be planted to replace the trees that are lost. I can obtain those details subsequently. So the city is open to work with Mr Burke for appropriate species of replanted trees in appropriate locations that, whilst some might view won't replace that which is lost, can go some way towards reinstating some mature trees within the site.
Thank you. In accordance with 4.2 for public question time, I will need to extend the question time for another 10-minute increment. If you'd like to ask your fifth question.
Well, I think he's already answered my fifth question, but
Okay.
could I just
Is it a
add
question for staff? 'Cause I
question? The question
yes.
is, if Mr Burke wants to replant trees, is he going to replant for the benefit of Emu Swamp or for the benefit of his development? So far, it is to the benefit of his development, not Emu Swamp.
I will
Thank you.
ask staff to respond, Mr. Russell, or a statement. Happy with that? Thank you. I'll ask Ms. Zek if you'd like to come to the podium, and you may also ask up to 5 questions.
Thank you. Has the Urban Water Report for Lot 24, Harrow Street, Dayton, been submitted yet?
Mr. van der Linde.
This is Dayton LSP 4 Amendment 4.
Thank you, Mr. Russell.
Through you, Madam Mayor, my recollection, if I'm thinking of the right property, that the proponent, to support the amendment to the local structure plan with respect to modifying the public open space to reflect the modified drainage arrangement, the proponent did actually, through discussions with the Department of Planning and the city, actually undertake the water management report up front as a basis for justifying the structure planning modification, as opposed to detailing it, providing it as a condition of any subdivision approval. So that was provided. It was reviewed by the city. The city, through myself and Mr Finn McLeod and the assets team, provided commentary on that plan back to the department, and so subsequently that was the foundation basis for them supporting the structure plan amendment.
Thank you. Do you have a second question?
Yes, so does that mean that the usual process would be that a subdivision plan and an urban water management plan would be submitted for approval? Does that mean now that there is no urban water management plan that's submitted at the same time as the subdivision plan for approval? And sorry, if you can answer that one, that'd be good.
Yeah, I can understand the confusion. No, there will still be a conditional requirement for a water management report. In this instance, given the circumstances and to give comfort to the Statutory Planning Committee, sensibly in response to some of the fair concerns raised by the community, the department wanted to see that report up front and to get some advice from the city, and I believe maybe from Department of Water Environment Regulation on it, so that the SPC could come. It's still a conditional requirement, but they have seen, we've evaluated it, run it through the process, pre-approval of the subdivision, but it will still be relevant post-approval of the subdivision, if that makes sense.
Thank you. Did you have a third question?
Yes, so that means then that the city still has to sign off on it and still takes responsibility for it. Is that right?
That would be correct, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. And a fourth question?
A fourth question? I'm trying to think if there's another one on that one. The last question I had is, has the bioretention basin for Henley Brook Avenue been moved out of the floodway and flood fringe of St Leonard's Creek?
Mr McPherson, thanks.
Madam Mayor, I'll have to take that one on notice and refer to the plans for that.
Okay. And did you have a final question?
No, I think that I've done my dash. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms Zack. We have a few more minutes left, so I'll ask, is there anyone else in the gallery that's not registered wishing to ask questions relating to items not in the agenda? I think Mr Church first. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll be brief. Following the Planning Process Review Committee meeting last Thursday, 4th of June, my first question is, have the minutes been completed and made available for public scrutiny?
Mr Kane.
Thank you. Yes, they're on the website.
Question 2, thank you. Do those minutes require ratification by full council before action is pursued?
Thank you, Mr CEO.
Thank you. No.
Thank you. My advice to hand suggests invitations to tender or respond have been issued to 3 parties. Is that action in order?
Through you.
Thank you. And through the chair, yes, the committee having commenced the process now, tender was issued last week and has gone to 3 consultants.
Final question. Do the 3 parties include, excuse me, the consultant that undertook the review of the Planning Department's assessment of ODP number 37 number 9, commissioned by the CEO, that was referred to the Legislative Council Select Committee, Land Use and Planning hearing of the 1st of May 2026, but was never reported to Council?
Thank you, Mr CEO.
Through the chair, no.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your questions, Mr Church. I think we had someone else there who'd like to come up and ask questions. If you'd like to come up and state your name, please.
How about that?
You can bend it up if you're a bit higher, taller.
Sure, thank you. As we've seen with the opposition to the data centre recently in Hazelmere, there's significant community concern regarding the planning processes being followed by the City of Swan. Will the council resolve to appoint 1 community representative to the Planning Process Review Committee where that person is selected by the community group supporting this review?
Thank you, Mr CEO.
Thank you. And through the chair, no, council's already appointed the members of the committee and commenced the statutory process associated with the committee process.
To ensure the fox is in charge of the hen house.
So, second question.
Through the chair, there is no fox on the committee, no member of council called fox.
Thank you. Okay, and I think we had a gentleman at the back who would also like to ask a question. We have 3 minutes left of question time. If you'd just like to introduce yourself.
Mr. Jake Langridge, and I'm a resident of Ellenbrook. There appears to be a grass and garden area located just behind Ellenbrook Arts Centre, located on the corner of Ellen Sterling Parade and Gallery Lane. Is the city aware of this space being used for parking, and is it intended to be used as parking space?
Oh, thank you very much. Mr. Mc, thank you.
Through you, Madam Mayor, I'll have to take that on notice. Thank you.
Did you have a second question?
Yes, there appears to be unofficial signage by way of a Flimsy printed sign laminated and stapled to the trees either side of the space, which proclaims that the space is for Prime Group staff parking only. Is the city aware of this, and is this authorised?
Thank you, Mr Bishop.
Through you, Madam Mayor, I'm not aware of that, but happy to investigate it.
My third question.
Do they have to be related questions, or can it be about? Cool. Too often in the mornings, residents seeking to take advantage of our wonderful Ellenbrook train station miss out as a result of lack of parking bays due to high demand. Is this a matter for the City of Swan or the Public Transport Authority?
Thank you.
Thank you. It is a matter for the PTA. We've raised this on occasions with them about the adequacy of parking there.
Excellent, thank you.
Do you have no further question? Ms Hughes, we've got about 1 minute and 35 seconds. We can, yeah, can do another extension if you have further questions. So,
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd be lucky if I could do anything in a minute. My first question is one I've tried to get answered a couple of times, and it is about the removal of trees. So 112 Helena Street, Guildford, recently, or a few months back, up to 10 trees that are natives were removed without a development application. Unlike the previous questioner, these are protected trees because they're covered in the policy. I want to know on what basis was the decision made, presumably by the Mr Russell, that the person concerned would be invited to submit a retrospective DA for the removal of those trees. What is the logic to a retrospective DA for the unlawful removal of trees?
thank you. Mr Russell?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. As strange as it might sound, the logic in inviting someone to make a retrospective application for the removal of the trees is in effect, or you could do it a different way, you could give a direction, and that is to reinstate the trees. Now, it might not be all of the trees, but that is what the prospect of a retrospective application achieves. It allows the detailing of the trees that were removed, the location of the trees that were removed, and gives some capacity to contemplate what might be a desirable or appropriate reinstatement of replacement species in the same location or elsewhere. So that's the value of the retrospective application process.
Thank you. I also move to allow another 10
Well,
minutes.
I can. All I
Just
can.
1 moment. I'm just going to allow for another.
My question.
Sorry, Ms Hughes, I'm just going to extend the question time for another 10 minutes. Thank you. Right.
Sorry.
That's okay. Now we can go.
Mr Russell, I just find that incomprehensible because this would begin a cycle, wouldn't it? I'll make it a question. It would become a cycle of just remove the trees, no penalty for doing so. We'll just agree to plant some more and then you can remove them
Do we have
again.
a second question?
Yes, I do. And it relates to retrospective approvals generally. What criteria or whoever's responsible for recommending that a DA be applied for on a retrospective basis? What's the criteria? Who's the judgment maker? And what guidelines are you using when you decide rather than prosecute someone, which is an option, you'll go for a retrospective approval instead?
Thank you, Mr Russell, if you're able to.
A couple of points, Madam Mayor. Firstly, we shouldn't conflate erroneously the terms a retrospective application for a retrospective approval, because it applies that approval will be granted, and that's not the case clearly. The position that the city has had with respect to when to prosecute for breaches of the scheme is a long-held position, and one, I'm pleased to say, is at the foundation of reasonableness in local government in Western Australia. And those aren't my comments, those are comments from one of the esteemed local government legal firms in McLeod's, who have rated our approach to compliance at the city as best practice in local government in WA on many occasions. We take a reasonable approach to ascertain, has there been a breach? Was the breach willful? Was it done in ignorance? What is the preparedness of a proponent to work with the city with respect to ceasing the breach or making an application retrospectively for consideration? Where the city observes that proponents have these are my words, a stuff you attitude to the local authority and the community, we don't hesitate to take the stick to the Madam Mayor, and rightfully so. But where proponents And ignorance, to be fair, ignorance of the law is no defence. But where people, and many people have assumed things or thought they had a right to do something or was told this or made inquiries and thought they understood this, that and the other. Where people work with us reasonably to rectify the breach and make an application, then that's the approach we take. There are instances where we prosecute, but it is not the case and never has been, Madam Mayor, that straight up with an offence we charge in there and start prosecuting people.
Thank you, Mr Russell. Did you have a third question?
Yes, I've got two more. One is to you, Madam Mayor, and that is how quickly then, in light of what we've just heard and the response to the earlier question about the trees in Alexander Drive, how quickly are you going to get your tree register up and running? Because everybody who wants to remove a tree knows that currently they've got 6 months to get out there with a chainsaw and just do it. So can it be brought forward to try and prevent more trees being pulled down?
That would definitely be a decision. We'd have to ask for some advice. Mr Russell, can that be brought forward?
Madam Mayor, I can say this amongst some of my colleagues in local government, one quite close to me in fact, has postulated that once you start regulating and requiring approvals wholesale for tree retention, what do? You provide an impetus to do exactly what Ms Hughes has feared might happen. Get in before the instrument is in place. Let me simply say this, Madam Mayor, if people have a mind to think, I've got a right to cut down a tree and I will do so, then they will do so irrespective of what legislative or regulatory mechanisms are in place. The only recourse then, as there is with any breach, is to establish the evidence to take the necessary action as required.
Thank you, Mr Russell. Did you have a fourth
My
question?
last question, because it's a no-go area, I would think. My last question is quite a simple one. Elvire Street in Midland, a very, very old street and entirely residential, suddenly has no parking on either side of it. And I'd like to ask why that has suddenly happened. It's impossible for residents to even have visitors.
Thank you. I'll ask Mr Bishop if he's able to respond.
Through you, Madam Mayor. That would have been subject to a recent parking management plan area. There was consultation with residents as part of that. The aim is primarily for parking management and signage in those areas in regards people who are basically working in the commercial precinct and parking in that area.
So wouldn't 3-hour parking have been okay instead of all weekend no parking, both sides? I'm happy to have a separate conversation with you, but it's unworkable as it is for family events.
Through you, Madam Mayor, I'd probably prefer to speak to Ms Hughes afterwards
thanks.
and just clarify the exact area we're talking about.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you very
I'm
much.
happy with that, thank you.
And thank you for your questions. We do have time maybe for 1 or 2 more questions, very quick questions. Is there anyone else in the gallery that's not registered wishing to ask questions related to the items not in the agenda? Yep.
Simon Ashby. Number 121 Bushmead Road appears to have over 30 cars parked on it, trucks, caravans, etc. Is this permissible?
Thank you. Mr Bishop, if you're able to answer that.
Through you, Madam Mayor, could you just repeat the street? Would you say Bushmead?
Bushmead Road, number
Bushmead.
121.
Yeah, I'd have to take that on notice.
Sure.
121 Bushmead Road.
Right.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We have time for 1 more question. Is there anyone else in the gallery who wishes to ask a question? No? Thank you very much to those people that came in tonight and to those that asked their questions. We move to part 6. This is public statement time. So registration for public statement time at council meetings was required by 10 a.m. this morning on Wednesday the 10th of June. And public statements are for general matters of the city and not for items on the agenda. So we've had Mr Dixon Lowe relating to the first City of Swan Independent Planning Process Review Committee registered to make 2-minute statement. Thank you, Mr Lowe, if you'd like to start your statement.
Good evening. I would like the councillors to please listen very carefully. My name is Dixon Lowe, a resident of the Vines. I'm a committee member of the Vines Residents and Ratepayers Association and the Swan Community Environmental Alliance, and make this statement on their behalf and also on behalf of the many people that are sitting here tonight. Since the annual electors meeting of the 2nd of February, this council has discussed and voted on resolutions that support the formation of a planning process review committee. During that process, community actively promoted their views, including briefing the committee itself. And councillors, we've done our best to keep you informed. This independent review is a complex matter with many interested parties. Setting it up requires very careful reflection on its purpose and its method. We are now informed through the answer to question A1 in 5.3.2 that the terms of reference produced on the first Planning Process Review Committee are adopted. That being the case, I wish to inform Council that from our community perspective, these terms of reference no longer represent the purpose of the independent review. I'll repeat that if I need to. They no longer represent the terms of reference proposed by community. The reasons are, the scope has been increased to beyond that which could be achieved in the time frame and finances for this review. You will recall that there's $50,000 attributed or put aside to this. Call that 100 hours of review. And this scope is now impossible to reach in that 100 hours. What we have proposed previously, and I will repeat, is that the community proposed a very specific scope of work. We provided input to that scope at the committee, and that could be achieved in the $50,000. Secondly, the CEO has rewritten those terms of reference, adding in many details that represent the staff and internal administrative position, which are not required to judge whether the state planning framework is being followed. An example, which I think has now been removed, is that benchmarking is required against other LGAs. Of what value is that to us as a community? I don't know.
That was the 2-minute mark, and plus an extra minute. Did you have much more there?
The very reasons, thank you, the very reasons for the review being that the city contend with evidence that the city does not meet state planning framework requirements. The new terms of reference has lost this focus. Have a look for yourself. Number 4, these terms of reference now represent an opportunity for a reviewer to randomly select samples, and so is cause for concern. The community have offered evidence listing examples. The Vines has been presented as a case in point. It is possible that the reviewer could ignore the obvious evidence on which the community has based its concerns, and therefore your $50,000 is a total waste of time.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your public statement tonight, Mr. Lowe. We move to part 7, there's petitions. We've had no petitions presented that need tabling at this meeting this evening. And part 8, deputations. All deputations for items on the agenda were heard at the agenda forum that was held on the 3rd of June 2026. There are no announcements for this meeting this evening. So we move into part 10, which is leave of absence. I have Councillor Takiro from the 10th of June 2026 to the 24th of June 2026 inclusive. And I also have one from Councillor Prodovnik from 1st of July until the 9th of July inclusive. Is there anyone else who has requesting any leave? If you could please hand that up to the CEO. I'll ask if I have a mover, please. Thank you, Councillor Miles. And a seconder? Thank you. I think Councillor Congerton went up. Does anyone against? No, it's carried. Thank you. We move to part 11. This is confirmation of minutes. 11.1, confirmation of minutes of the ordinary meeting of council, which was held on the 13th of May 2026. And 11.2, confirmation of minutes of the special meeting of council held on the 25th of May 2026. May I have a mover, please? Thank you, Councillor Congerton, and a seconder was Councillor Miles. Is there anyone against? That's carried, thank you. And we had no business left over from the previous meeting. Thank you. Okay, for those still in the gallery, we have part 13, the adoption of those recommendations contained in items that were not withdrawn. For the benefit of the community members observing the meeting, the Council uses an en bloc method of decision making. This means that the agenda items where Council supports the officer recommendation are not debated separately. One vote is taken on all of the items and the officer recommendation is therefore the decision of Council. The following items have not been withdrawn for individual consideration and will be dealt with via the en bloc method. Therefore, the officer recommendation will be the decision of Council. That's 14.1.2, policy review, related party disclosures. 14.1.5, audit and assurance plan 2026-27 to 2029-30. 14.3.1, this is the consideration of submissions. Proposed amendment number 236 to local planning scheme number 17 to rezone lots 312 and 313, number 160 to 162, Great Eastern Highway, Midval, from public purposes to highway services, LPS 17-236. 14.5.1, financial management report for the period ending 30th of April 2026. And 14.5.2, this is the list of accounts that were paid in April 2026. And the last item is 14.5.3, the change in basis of valuation. I need to ask, can I please have a mover? Thank you, Councillor Congerton, and a seconder. Thank you, Deputy Mayor Zanino. Is anyone against?
Madam Mayor, in terms of withdrawing an item that's not listed there, 14.6.
14.6, Councillor Henderson. I think that's already been withdrawn. Is that right, Mr. CEO?
14.6 is not listed there.
No, it's not listed. So, yeah. Okay. So 14.6. So I'll ask again. So I had a mover. I had Councillor Congerton, and I had a seconder, which was Deputy Mayor Zanino. And anyone against? No, that's carried. Thank you. Okay. So move to part 14. This is reports withdrawn for debate or absolute majority vote required. The following reports have been withdrawn for debate or have an absolute majority vote in accordance with the Meeting Procedures Local Law 2023, and they will be dealt with by Council individually. So first we have 14.1.1. This is the Annual Review of Delegations of Authority 2026, which you'll find on page 7. And this will require an absolute majority vote. So I will need a council member to please move the officer's recommendation. Thank you, Councillor Congerton. And a seconder. Thank you, Councillor Miles. Is anyone against? Do you wish to debate it? Thank you. I did ask, would anyone like to debate it? We don't need the door closed, so they should. Thank you. So those in favour?
This is the delegations item. So, yep,
Okay.
14.11.
Yep, so 14.1.1, those in favour? So I had Councillor Dean, Councillor Carr, Councillor Oringo, Councillor Bowman, Councillor Miles, Councillor Congerton, Deputy Mayor Zanino, Councillor Henderson, Councillor Prodovnik, Councillor Johnson and myself. And those against? Councillor Catalano. That's carried, thank you. Oh, sorry, and Councillor Howlett, my apologies, couldn't see behind there. 12-2. Sorry? I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7,
We're only missing
9,
one.
10. I've got
Or
11.
2, sorry.
11-2. Thank you, that was 11-2 carried. Okay. So we move to 14.1.3. This is the policy review, which is complaints management relating to conduct of council members, committee members and candidates, which is on page 72. Proposed motion by Councillor Henderson. I will need a council member to move the officer's recommendation in the event that Councillor Henderson's motion is lost. If you'd like to please read out your motion.
Councillors, these next two items are basically cleaning up a few minor issues. So I move that Council resolve to 1, adopt policy C184, complaints management relating to conduct of council members, committee members and candidates, adding subject to the following amendments. A, remove the duplication at clause 3.12 by deleting it. B, delete clause 3.1.3 and replace clause 3.2.4 with clause 3.1.3 and renumber the clauses accordingly. 2, authorise CEO to make any formatting, nomenclature or other minor changes to the policy during its currency, adding and request the CEO to report at subsequent briefing changes made and the reasons for those changes if required. And my reasons for those are to keep the council informed. Number 2 is to text duplications not needed in the document.
Thank you, Councillor Henderson. Do I have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Congerton. Is there anyone against? No? That's carried. Thank you very much. Okay. Councillors, move to 14.1.4, and this is the policy review, Council Member Professional Development and Training, which is on page 90. Proposed motion by Councillor Henderson, and I will also need a council member to please move the officer's recommendation in the event that Councillor Henderson's motion is lost. If you would like to read out your motion, please.
Thank you, Mayor. This is again just cleaning up. The change, I move that there's a change to 1A, and that is to delete the preamble to propose clause 4.4.1c and replace it with the CEO and Mayor are jointly authorised to approve council members' access to an additional annual budget of $17,000, and as listed, if I, if you like, as per policy and as per proposed policy. So it's just simply to improve clarity of the clause.
Thank you, Councillor Henderson. Do I have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Congerton. Is anyone against? Do you wish to debate it? No? Thank you. So that then needs to be put to the vote. Those in favour? So I had Councillor Dean, Councillor Carr, Councillor Aringo, Councillor Bowman, Councillor Miles, Councillor Congerton, Deputy Mayor Zanino, Councillor Henderson, Councillor Prodovnik, Councillor Johnson and myself, and those against, Councillor Catalano and Councillor Howlett. Thank you, and that's carried 11-2. Okay, thank you, Councillor. So we move to 14.1.6. This is the Planning Process Review Committee of Council Nomination Requests, and this is on page 123. This will require an absolute majority vote. Proposed motion by Councillor Miles, and I will need a council member to move the officer's recommendation if, in the event Councillor Miles' motion is lost. If you'd like to please read out your motion.
Well, Madam Mayor, this is obviously put forward to staff to ensure that we fill in the other deputy position on the committee. So it's one that Council resolve to endorse the appointment of Councillor Congerton and Councillor Miles as deputy members of the Planning Process Review Committee. And obviously the reason is to make sure that we fill both positions of deputy member for that committee.
Thank you very much. Do I have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Congerton.
Amendment.
Amendment?
Yes, I'd like to propose an amendment, please. I'd like to add a point 2, and that is allow the nomination and appointment of a community member to the Planning Process Review Committee.
Is that acceptable to... Just one moment, Mr CEO.
So through the chair, that changes the tenor of the recommendation. Council's already endorsed and adopted its terms of reference and given statutory effect to its decision by creating the committee. So council can't come back and revoke that decision subsequent to that.
So I had a mover and I had a seconder.
Excuse me,
Question?
I'd like to second that motion.
The CEO's just explained that that's not able to happen because it's actually a change. So it's not an amendment.
It was
Did you? I'm not sure
council
if you
that
got-
decided that, not the CEO, Madam Mayor.
The council decides that.
Mr. CEO.
And through the chair, I refer you to the principles contained for the adoption of implementation of decision. Clause 11.5 in your meeting procedures, clause 11.5(2). A council resolution will be deemed to be enacted upon if not able to be revoked, that is revoked or changed, if a statutory process has been contained in Part B. Council adopted its terms of reference. It established the committee, which is a statutory process required under the Local Government Act. You can't revoke or change that.
Question.
Question?
Are we not changing it now through this motion?
Mr. CEO.
Through the chair, no, because you're simply filling in the committee members that were already endorsed by council. If you recall, councillor, that at the last council meeting we had the nominations for the filled position, but we didn't have any deputy. So this is simply filling the deputy appointments.
Okay, so I had Councillor Miles as the mover, I had Councillor Congerton as the seconder, thank you. And I asked if anyone was against.
Yes.
Do you wish to debate it?
Yes.
Thank you. Councillor Miles.
I reserve my right. Can I do that?
Yep. And seconder?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I would have thought it's pretty self-explanatory in the process. 2 vacancies existed, 2 vacancies are put forward. The committee allows for the 2 deputies.
Thank you. Just put that there. Now, anyone against?
Yes.
Thank you. Councillor Howlett.
Thank you. Councillors, I am very disappointed with the way this Planning Process Review Committee has performed to date, and I share my concerns. I share the same concerns as expressed by Mr. Dixon Lowe earlier. As a member of the committee, I emailed the chair back on the 25th of May, asking questions such as meeting frequency, dates, times, locations, whether a staff member would be present, if someone would be taking minutes. If the minutes would be available to all councillors. I have not received a response to that email.
Just one moment, Councillor Howlett, if you'd like to resume your seat. Thank you. Councillor Myers, what was your point of order?
Sorry, Madam Mayor, I think 7.21 see a speaker's remarks not being relevant to the motion being debated. This is simply about filling 1 vacancy on the committee, not the composition or function or anything else of
Thank
the
you,
committee.
Councillor Myers. I'll uphold that point of order. Councillor Howlett.
Thank you. I guess my point is there may actually be another position on that committee because I choose to tender my resignation to this committee. I have a complete lack of trust and faith in how it's being put together. I do not want to put my name to it. I'm disillusioned by it. The process has been flawed from the outset. The intention of the motion of the committee is honourable and definitely required, but I am not prepared to put my name to this committee as it is now. I'm sorry. So you can actually consider it. You have 3 positions open. You've just filled 2 deputy, and I'm tendering my resignation for it tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Howlett. Anyone like to speak for the motion? Anyone like to speak against the motion?
Question.
Question, Councillor Johnson.
Yeah, I'm interested to understand what will be the process of changing the terms of reference to include community members on the committee.
Mr. CEO.
Thank you, and as already noted, Councillor Johnson, that once you've commenced the statutory process, you can't come back and change it. As you'd note, you've already had the first committee meeting, and the first committee meeting considers the committee members. It adopted the terms of reference or the scope for the engagement with the consultant, which has also been given effect. So you can't undo decisions that have been made on that basis. What you can is continue to plug the gaps. The gaps in this particular case relate to the committee membership of members of council, and it's still open for the committee to consider other matters as time moves forward.
So you're saying we can't ever change a committee? We can't change its terms of reference? Is that right?
Yes.
Thank you. If the council's adopted the terms of reference for the committee have commenced its process. When the process is finished, Council can come back and do something different if it wished, but that's the process under clause 12, the one I've referred to earlier on.
Okay. Councillor,
Question? Sorry. Through you, Madam Mayor, to the CEO, just so that we understand, if Councillor Howlett has resigned, why would there not be an opportunity for a community member to step in and fill that? Can you, so I'm not following it.
thank you, Mr. CEO.
And so, through the chair, council adopted the terms of reference. The terms of reference were then given to the committee, which established what the council wanted to consist of. So if you remember back to the item that came before council, there are various options for consideration of structuring of a committee. Council made its decision on what form it wanted the committee to have. Having established the committee and given it the right to set the scope for the engagement consultant, you have commenced all the statutory processes for the committee to do its function. So you can't undo that at this point.
Further question?
So one more question. Is there a future point where it can be undone? And if so, how?
CEO?
Through the chair, having gone through and completed the review, if council wanted to do another review afterwards, it could. But the whole point of initiated in a process where you actually had an independent assessment of the city's planning process, that's what you've started now. And all that engagement, knowing too that you had been very specific on the timeline in which you wanted this work to be done. You had a decision you'd made already on the budget for the works. There's some comments made tonight about the number of hours. That's probably not factually correct. There's actually a broader scope within the budget to be able to do probably up to 140 hours worth of review on this matter. But the process is still open to the public to attend and listen. And as we had some statements from the members of the public, from what I've heard tonight, there is a particular issue that community members have referenced, and we've already given guidance. I know I'm off track now, Mayor, but we've given guidance to the committee, to the chairman, how that could easily be added as an addendum to the existing actions now, and that would take place on this Friday.
Thank you.
I have a question, Madam Mayor.
Question?
Yes. How many community members are currently on this review committee?
None.
None. The whole point of having this committee to have diverse views, if we put similar people with the similar sort of like people with the similar views into one committee, then there is no point of having diverse, a number of committee members. Only one committee member is enough. It's basically, yeah, I also do not feel any point of having
Do
the
you
committee.
have a question?
Thank you.
No question? Thank you. Councillors, we were at 4 in the debate. I'll ask, does anyone like to speak for the motion?
Got a question.
Question, Councillor Johnson.
I've got a copy of the local government administration regulations here, and it says 10 revoking or changing decisions. It doesn't say anything here about statutory processes. So where does that come from? It's pretty clear here you can change a decision. So if council wishes to change the terms of reference, it can do so subsequently
Mr.
if it's a change.
So unfortunately, Councillor Johnson, it's not the only part of the law that applies to local government. The key law that also applies to all your meetings is called the Meeting Procedures Local Law 2023, and I've already cross-referenced for you the section that relates to 11.52b on implementing a decision. And it's for the very reason where you this section exists, so you protect processes once they've started. And you've been aware of this from other matters that have come before council. So the admin regulation provide overarching guidance, but your meeting procedures provide detail.
Okay, councillors.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to move a procedural motion, please.
Thank you.
Yep, 9.1A. Can we please put this motion? Thank you.
Thank you.
At this point, Madam Mayor, if the motion now be put, if this occurred, if this occurred, we'd then come to whoever moved the motion to give them the opportunity to close it, but you have to then deal with the procedural motion now.
Which is a vote.
So the mover of the procedural motion, I think, is able to make a statement. At
Yep,
this point.
or a reason. So you're able to make a statement if you want. You just want to put that? Thank you. Now we move to...
So the matter now be put as what you have before you, Madam.
Thank you. So councillors, now we move to the vote. So that is Councillor Miles... sorry.
It's just that you move to the decision on the motion.
Okay.
the matter now be put.
So that the matter now be put, and then we move to the vote.
So through the chair, this point ends the debate on the item if it gets up, and then you simply move then to the mover and seconder
Thank
for
you.
the final part.
Councillor Miles.
Closing.
To close the debate.
So you've had a motion from
Yep.
councillor. You've had a motion from councillor.
We got to
You'd need a
move and seconder.
Yeah.
Okay, so seconder for Councillor Ringo's motion to be put was Councillor Bowman. Is anyone against?
No.
You can't anyhow, so we could just go straight through. Okay, so now it goes to the vote.
Yes. That the
close
matter
it.
now- That the motion now be put.
Okay. So this is a procedural motion that the motion now be put by Councillor Oringo, seconded by Councillor Bowman. No. She's moved a procedural motion to bring the end of the debate. Yes. Okay. That's okay.
So, if I may, through
Thank
the
you.
chair, at this juncture, councillors, if this motion is supported, it would end the debate on the matter and would then come back to consider the two nominations as currently put as the item currently stands.
So Councillor Miles has a right to reply.
No, you just need to now
To vote.
have the vote on the matter now.
Yep, so those in favour? Thank you. Councillor Oringo.
Councillor
Oh, sorry, Councillor Dean, Councillor Oringo, Councillor Bowman, Councillor Miles, Councillor Congerton, Deputy Mayor Zanino, Councillor Henderson, Councillor Prodovnik, and myself. And those against is Councillor Catalano, Councillor Carr, and Councillor Johnson and Councillor Howlett. So
10-4.
carried 10-4.
9-4.
Oh, sorry, 9-4. Thank you. Okay.
We now move to the item itself, Madam Mayor. You need to call the mover to summarise.
Thank you, Councillor Miles.
Yeah, I'll just like to quickly summarise and say obviously this is a pertinent topical issue considering questions from the community tonight. I do find it disappointing though when we have the committee established and we have councillors that are there to share their voices would rather quit than contribute and see change happen from within, and I think that's really disappointing. So at the end of the day, this is about appointing deputy members to the committee. So
Point of
I'd
order.
support it.
Just one moment, Councillor Miles, if you could resume your seat. Councillor Howlett, what was your point of order?
7.2 something or other.
I'm so sorry, I won't be able to
7.2,
uphold that.
I'm going to tell you it was E, offensive, indecent or insulting expression uncalled for.
What was that actual
It
statement?
was relating to me wanting to not make a difference or sit on the outside. It was.
Thank you, I uphold that. Councillor Miles, if you could return to your... Thank you very much. Right. Thank you. Now we put that to the vote. Those in favour? Councillor Dean, Councillor Oringo, Councillor Bowman, Councillor Miles, Councillor Congerton, Deputy Mayor Zanino, Councillor Henderson, Councillor Prodovnik and myself. And those against? Councillor Catalano, Councillor Carr, and Councillor Johnson and Councillor Howlett. So it's carried 9-4. Thank you, councillors. Okay, councillors, we move to 14.2.1. This is the North Ellenbrook East District Structure Plan Amendment 1 on page 125, proposed motion by Councillor Catalano. If you would like to please read out your motion.
Thank you. That Council resolve to 1. Note Amendment 1 to the North Ellenbrook East District Structure Plan, the needs, and advise WAPC that the structure plan should be abandoned because of the following reasons. 1. According to mapping showing pre-development groundwater levels, up to 90% of the structure plan area has an annual average maximum groundwater level of less than 1 metre below ground level. Figure J, District Water Management Strategy, Ellenbrook East. According to Figure K of the District Water Management Plan, up to 50% of the area has a 1% annual exceedance probability of flooding. 3. The areas identified for conservation of endangered black cockatoo and western swamp tortoise habitat under this proposed amendment of the structure plan are fragmented and unlinked, and as isolated nature reserves surrounded by metres of high infill for high density housing will not be sustainable in the future and will likely degrade. City of Swan ratepayers should not be responsible for the huge costs of managing nature reserves that are likely to fail anyway under the structure plan, even with this proposed amendment. The City of Swan ratepayers should not be responsible for the huge costs of infrastructure which should be borne by the state government to connect North Ellenbrook West and East, including A, the interchange with Tonkin Highway, B, Morella Road, Railway Road rail crossing, C, Warbrook Road crossing over Tonkin Highway, D, western end of Morella Road, local road connection into Ellenbrook, the alignment of which is not to be prejudicial to the future train line extension and continues to provide for fauna movement over Tonkin Highway. And the reason. Council should not be exposing the City of Swan, its ratepayers and future communities to future damage and costs from state government planning proposals and decisions that appear to be, from the evidence, inherently and intractably flawed.
Thank you, Councillor Catalano. Do I have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Howlett. Is anyone against? Do you wish to debate it? No? Yes? Thank you. Councillor Catalano.
Thank you. Make no mistake, from the District Water Management Strategy Ellenbrook East maps I have referred to, it is clear the majority of the area of the North Ellenbrook East District Structure Plan area is a floodway. The area forms the headwaters of the Ellenbrook, which ultimately flows into the Swan River. Most of the area already has a high water table and is prone to flooding. We've already seen the slow unfolding disaster throughout the Swan Valley south of Ellenbrook, from the infilling of wetlands in the growth corridor for the suburbs from Caversham to Henley Brook. We've seen how changes in hydrology have caused flooding in the new suburbs and rising groundwater on the adjacent rural land of the Swan Valley, rendering the land useless for agriculture as it turns agricultural land into wetlands, turns creeks into drains, and once what were wetlands into compensation basins and sumps, where fringing vegetation is drowned as algal bloom and pollution intensifies. I have also seen fringing vegetation of old swamps left to die as they are drained of water. Don't shoot me, I'm only the messenger. This dystopian future is guaranteed too for the North Ellenbrook areas if the state government insists with the madness of building high-density suburbs over wetlands and waterways. By now, everyone from the state government to the council know the drainage strategy will fail because of the soil types, high water table and volume of water. So the question is, who is going to wear the costs of the damage to land, livelihoods and property if this district structure plan continues? It should not, it definitely should not be the City of Swan ratepayers, and my job here tonight is to warn you on behalf of them. Council did not support the district structure plans in 2021 with concerns about infrastructure, and now the city has reservations about public open space function, the burden of maintaining reserves and community perception, which I interpret as what the community will think when this area is flooded, degraded and costing ratepayers a fortune to maintain, remediate, or in the worst case have to pay the enormous damages from rising groundwater and flooding. This is not even mentioning the anger from the loss of the cockatoos or the tortoises or the trees as the land and the water become covered with stinking weeds and mosquitoes. A 22.3 hectare reduction of residential lands proposed in this amendment is not going to significantly reduce the potential of flooding or the costs of damages associated with water damage, as there is only a maximum of 20% of the area that is not effectively waterlogged, as the report states, highly constrained already. The 22.3 hectares of unlinked tiny reserves won't make any difference.
And that was your 3 minutes. Councillor Howlett is the seconder.
I have nothing further, thank you. That was perfectly
Thank
summed
you.
up.
I'll ask anyone against.
Question.
Question?
I just have a question. If staff could please clarify what cost to ratepayers is Councillor Catalano referring to in her motion, as I believe those infrastructures are actually state government infrastructures and developments. Thank you.
Mr CEO?
I think
Or happy
through
with
the
Mr.
chair,
van der Linde. Thank you.
Mr. van der Linde or might be able to provide some context.
Madam Mayor, if we also look at the report of the officers in the agenda, we identify that the additional public open space that is proposed to facilitate the retention of vegetation, if that is provided as local public open space eventually, that will be for the city to maintain and to carry the cost for the maintenance of those local public open space areas. What we're saying in the report, and that is what Councillor Catalano is referring to, is that those high value vegetation should rather be kept in regional open space, which is then not it's not a it will have to be compensated for by state government and not necessarily maintained by the city. So therefore, that cost won't be for the city if it's a regional open space.
Thank you very much. Second question.
Yes, I do. I'm just really curious here because we are talking about, for example, the interchange with Tonkin Highway. What exactly is the cost? Is there actually a cost to ratepayers with those infrastructures?
With regards to the hard infrastructure, being the Tonkin Highway, the council has been very clear in all its previous decisions that they cannot and will not take any responsibility for the cost of that infrastructure. That has been accepted by the WAPC, and they're currently looking at entering into deed with the developers to contribute towards that infrastructure, and for the rest to be contributed by state and federal government. So at this stage, the intention of state government is for the city not to pay for that.
Thank you. So I just want to clarify, there is no huge cost to ratepayers with those particular infrastructures.
In regards to the Tonkin Highway interchange, there won't be a cost to the city.
Okay.
If I could just add through the chair that we made clear that the city would not accept a DCP or any management responsibilities associated with that interchange.
Sorry, I just needed to clarify because when I read point 5 of the motion, the City of Swan ratepayers should not be responsible for the use cost of infrastructures. It's just, that was my understanding. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councillors, we're at against. Is there anyone who'd like to speak against? Anyone like to speak for? Councillor Johnson.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. I went to take a look at one particular site in this North Ellenbrook East District Structure Plan. After listening to one of the deputations, I thought it'd be interesting to go and have a look. And on Saltpit Lane, I was shown an area of land that's had a black cockatoo roost, numerous trees, and a spring. And the spring I was shown was surrounded by an absolutely wonderful wooded environment. The spring obviously has been there since time immemorial. Obviously was adopted by the colonial settlers when they arrived, and prior to that was used by the traditional owners. It's an absolutely beautiful piece of land, but the outcome of the North Ellenbrook East District Structure Plan is this piece of land will become isolated, surrounded by housing. Most likely the land around it will be covered in sand, and then there'll be a nice zinc-coated railing around it just to keep people out, but unfortunately it will be degraded. If we are going to build houses in this area, there needs to be sufficient protection for the environment that we have there. So as I understand it, the areas that should be protected need to be comprehensive, adequate and representative of the environment, and what we're seeing in this structure plan is not the case at all. I was very disappointed to think about the future for the spring, the land of the cockatoos, and that's why I'm voting for Councillor Catalano's motion. We should save them.
Thank you, Councillor Johnson. Would anyone like to speak against the motion? Councillor Miles.
I'd just like to get up and say I won't be supporting this motion, but I will support Councillor Howlett's motion.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak for the motion? Against the motion? Your right of reply.
Thank you. I just want to talk about Stock Road. I think that had a budget of $20 million.
Point of order, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Just one moment, Councillor Catalano, if you'd like to resume your seat. Councillor Ringo, what was your point of order?
8.10.4. When you are doing your right of reply,
you cannot introduce.
Yeah,
thank you. I'll uphold
That's
that.
in
Thank
response,
you,
actually, to your questions about infrastructure
Councillor
costs.
Catalano.
I'm
sorry,
just
I'll
responding.
uphold that point of order. Thank you.
In response to the questions about infrastructure costs, I just want to say that the Stock Road project actually blew out quite significantly, and the point about all the issues in point 5 here is that the city shouldn't have to pay for it.
Catalano, if you could resume your seat. Councillor Ringo.
8.10.4. This is a right of reply. We are rebutting arguments.
Thank you. You have pointed that, and I'll uphold that point of order. Councillor Catalano, in your right of reply, you can't introduce new areas into the debate.
Yeah, right. Okay. The 22.3 hectares of unlinked tiny reserves won't make any difference to conserving water quality and habitat for endangered species, as everyone in the state government already knows. Fragmented pockets of reserves will likely be submerged underwater as metres of subdivision infill surround them, and over time will become sumps. And there is no way anything other than mosquitoes and weeds will endure. Today's habitat is tomorrow's cesspits. Mark my words. You've got that to look forward to, you young people. Why should ratepayers, City of Swan ratepayers, have to foot the bill of trying to manage this massively huge problem in the future? My message to everyone is get out now while you can. This whole thing has to go back to the drawing board. Don't worry about it. I won't be here, but you guys will. And I'm sure you won't be able to sort it out.
Thank you, Councillor Catalano. Councillors are now put that to the vote. Those in favour? Councillor Catalano, Councillor Johnson and Councillor Howlett, and those against? Councillor Dean, Councillor Kaur, Councillor Oringo, Councillor Bowman, Councillor Miles, Councillor Congerton, Deputy Mayor Zanino, Councillor Henderson, Councillor Brodovnik, and myself. Is lost. Thank you. I'm sorry, it was 310. So, councillors, we move to the proposed motion by Councillor Howlett. I will need a council member to move the officer's recommendation in the event that Councillor Howlett's motion is lost. Councillor Howlett, if you'd like to read out your motion, please.
Thank you. My motion tonight is that the council resolve to 1, adopt the officer's recommendation with amendments to point B to include point C and D, and to include a new C and D. A, emphasise that even if it is resolved that further refinement of the areas in A, C and D is required at the local structure planning stages to follow, it is the city's position that it then should be facilitated through a subsequent MRS Parks and Recreation reservation. C, the location of the roosting site SWABULR005 on the northern side of lot 8247 Sawpit Road, Bullsbrook, should be confirmed and the reserve boundaries modified accordingly. And D, the alignment of the reserves on lot 10, 104 and 8247 to be refined to match the extent of the mapped wetlands. My reasons are 1, in the response from WAPC to a previous submission by the landowner of lot 8247 Sawpit Road, It was stated that the black cockatoo roost would be protected in a reserve. The roost is mapped within the CCW in the south of the property. The roost is, however, located in the north and extends to the row of lemon-scented gums along the boundary of Lot 104 and the large trees near Sawpit Road on Lot 12. The entire roost needs to be protected. Removal of trees in this area will have an impact on the day and night roost. 2. The map on page 165 of the Council agenda recommends the area on Lot 10 in the southeast as a reserve, but on the map for Amendment 1 on page 149, the area has been reduced. Note 11 states that the extent of the local reserve within Lot 10 is to be confirmed at local structure plan stage following assessment and confirmation of the potential or, bracket, otherwise, to retain the resource enhancement wetland and associated buffer in addition to retention of black cockatoos foraging habitat. And 3, the geomorphic wetland map on page 202 shows the connection between the CCW on lot 8247 in the north and the CCW in the Marilla Road Reserve in the south. The retention of this wetland and buffer is essential to maintain connection of this broader wetland. The area in the east of this wetland acts as a sump, and the land usually remaining The area in the east of this wetland acts as a sump, with land usually remaining waterlogged into December. To use this area for residential infill would impact the integrity of the wetland and residential. The area on Lot 10 was not evaluated by DBCA in 2021 at the time of the northern area due to the denied access.
Thank you very much. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Miles? Is anyone against? Do you wish to debate it? Thank you. Councillor Hallett.
Thank you. Councillors, whilst I have amended this motion to correctly apply the mapping to the black cockatoo roosting sites and the alignment of the reserves and wetlands, I echo the comments made earlier by Councillor Catalano. I want to add my concern that City staff have not viewed nor assessed 3 documents on which the EPA based its decision to not formally assess the MRS Amendment 1411. These documents include the Eco Hydrological Impact Assessment 2023, the updated Groundwater Modelling Report, and the updated Environmental Assessment Report 2023. These 3 documents were the subject to parliamentary questions this afternoon by the Honourable Mr. Brad Petit, Dr. Brad Petit, and they will be made available and tabled to Parliament on Tuesday, the 16th of June. Given the known issues with groundwater arising from the Dayton development, it concerns me greatly that the City has not requested these documents nor raised it in the officer's recommendation. Should we really be voting tonight without this information having been viewed by the officers informing their recommendation? Tonight, councillors, I suggest that if you want to, you can support my motion. It is to ensure that the true extent of the protection is afforded to the black cockatoo roosts and the waterways, which is hugely important to the landowner and also to the environment. However, it's really important and noted on the public record that the North East Ellenbrook District Structure Plan, if it remains as it is, it will deliver the same groundwater and flooding issues that are currently being experienced in the southern areas of Dayton, and this will be the responsibility of the City in years to come. So vote as you will.
Thank you, Councillor Hallett. Councillor Miles is the seconder.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Again, as we have discussed in this council many a time, the state government, with their ultimate authority in many areas of planning, will move in the direction they want to move. And it's important that this council, through the mechanisms that we do have some input on, make that input known. And I'll just note that in the officer's recommendation in this proposed motion, this is about noting the amendment we're noting the amendment, and obviously we have the specified changes in regards to making sure that our infrastructure is catered for into the future, as well as ensuring that this site and the residential development does have some coexistence with the local flora and fauna, because that's the way we should be moving forward with urban development, working with the land and respecting it. Obviously, these changes are not going to be what everyone wanted or the best outcome, but it's a better outcome than what we would have had. And I think I commend Councillor Howlett for these changes, as well as the staff for noting the concerns of the community as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Miles. Does anyone like to speak against the motion? Councillor Catalano.
It's really important that the council makes a stand on behalf of its ratepayers right now and tells the state government that this is not going to be, well, it's not doable. It is actually not doable, and it's going to cost ratepayers down the track. It's going to cost ratepayers to try and keep up these sumps, because that's what they're going to be, to keep them mosquito-free. It's going to cost the council in damages to property from waterlogging. We've already seen that. There's already damages in the Swan Valley. It's just making that cost even bigger down the track. These damages are going to be real. They are, and they're already real. They're already currently real, and they're going to be increased. It's going to be even more costs for the City of Swan ratepayers. In fact, you know, how's it going to be affordable? How are people going to be able to live in waterlogged suburbs? How are adjacent areas going to be able to cope with that kind of water? We've seen it already. It's already happening in the new growth suburbs. Can't fix the damage there, and we're going to go and make more damage. We've got to tell the state government it's just not doable, because otherwise the ratepayers and this city is going to have to bear the costs of that. That's the costs. Don't start sort of trying to fiddle about with infrastructure. The costs are the damages. And, you know, you can sit here and feel good and think, oh, well, we tinkered with it and we put in a couple of trees. I'm telling you, it's not going to make the slightest bit of difference to these endangered species. In fact, what's going to happen is Tortoise Swamp is going to be filled up with water, and those tortoises are going to become extinct. And those trees that you saved by this little fiddly thing here are going to be waterlogged, and their roots are going to become waterlogged, and they're going to die. I've seen it. Go and have a look in the new growth areas and have a look for yourself. Open your eyes. It's currently happening before us. It's a slow train wreck, councillors. We've got to tell the state government no.
Thank you, Councillor Catalano. Councillors, anyone like to speak for the motion? Anyone like to speak for the motion? Anyone like to speak against? No? You're right to reply. Oops. Thank you.
Nothing further, just to the vote, please.
Thank you very much. Councillors will now put that to the vote. Those in favour? Councillor Dean, Councillor Kaur, Councillor Oringo, Councillor Bowman, Councillor Miles, Councillor Congerton, Deputy Mayor Zanino, Councillor Henderson, Councillor Brodovnik, Councillor Johnson and myself. And those against, Councillor Catalano and Councillor Howlett. So it's carried 11-2. Thank you. Okay. Councillors, that and those in the gallery and those watching at home, we move to 14.3.2. This is the amendment to the DA 324/2024 use not listed private psychiatric hostel, lot number 10, number 40, John Street, Midland, DA 324/2024B. That's on page 217. It's been withdrawn by Councillor Bowman, and I will need a council member to... No. I just said I will need a council member to move the officer's recommendation. Thanks. Sorry, did I have someone to move the officer's recommendation? Thank you, Councillor Miles. Seconder? Okay. That lapsed then? Just one moment.
If I may, Madam Mayor, just for the benefit of the councillors, if a motion doesn't pass, so the effect is there is no decision on the item, then the matter will go back to them and they'll take it to SAT. That's, you understand, you can't not, if you choose not to make a decision on it, the existing approval lapses and the matter goes back to SAT. So you'll spend thousands of dollars in legal fees defending that. So I can only give you guidance, Madam Mayor. You'd better have your debate on either refusing it or approving as the recommendation is.
So it's the last call. Had a mover, Councillor Miles. So I have a seconder. Thank you, Councillor Budovnik. Is anyone against? Do you wish to debate it? No? And sorry, Councillor Bowman, you wish to debate it? Thank you. Councillor Miles.
I have nothing to add.
Thank you. Councillor Budovnik.
Sorry, we debating the substantive motion or the
Motion.
No, I've got nothing to add. I'm just waiting for the
vote. Thank you. Councillor Bowman.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Councillors, this is incremental planning by stealth. Early 2019, plans were approved by the City of Swan staff. 5 of the buildings have 6 or 7 bedrooms. In addition, each includes a quiet room, page 232. 1 unit has an office, exceptionally large laundry area, a guest bedroom with additional kitchen and living, like self-contained, page 230. I can't think of many, if any, 7-bedroom townhouses built in Midland, as after all, you would not be able to rent it out to 7 different people, as this would be classed as a lodging house, boarding house. 6 townhouses were then built, which I understand were completed towards early 2024. Mid-2024, a temporary approval for a psychiatric hospital was granted by this council. The deputation in the lead up to this was they had to urgently get out of their Bentley's property as it needed to be developed with government-funded development or something similar, I remember correctly. This never occurred. We were told when making a deputation to council in 2025 for a 12-month extension. I would now question the intent of Rosanna Priority Limited. Who builds 6 townhouses to this scale in Midland with 6 or 7 bedrooms unless it was going to be used or disguised for another use? A psychiatric hostel is a use not listed. This is a residential area. This is not acceptable for a residential area. Once approved permanently, there's not much the City of Swan can do with future issues, complaints, etc. There may be none now, but what does the future hold? No one knows. Just one wrong resident can significantly change things. Remember, councillors, this original approval was based on the patients having nowhere urgently to go, and we were then told this perhaps may not have been correct. Council, we gave 12 months approval. We gave then an additional 12 months. Everyone was clear that upon expiration of the approval, the use must cease. A psychiatric hostel in a residential area is not appropriate, no matter what else may be in the surrounding residential area. It is a use not listed for a reason. There was never an intention for it to be allowed or considered. We should be thinking of those current and future residents living in their residential properties in this residential area and the inverse impacts it could have on them. I am strongly against the permanent approval of this psychiatric hostel in this residential area, and again, this is incremental planning by stealth.
Thank you, Councillor Bowman. I'll ask, does anyone like to speak for? Anyone like to speak against?
Amendment.
Amendment?
Yeah, I'd like to amend section 2H to delete the words for a period of 2 years from the date of this approval.
To remove the words? Was that correct, Councillor Johnson? To remove the words? Okay. Councillor Bowman?
No,
No, it's not. It would be Councillor Miles as the mover.
question. Can Councillor Johnson please explain why he's asking for that?
Yeah, if it's all right with you, Madam Mayor. Yeah, because the period of 2 years is limits the 6 monthly meetings to a period of 2 years, and then they cease. So by removing those words, the 6 monthly meetings will continue indefinitely to support the local community.
Councillor Miles.
Question. May I ask staff how many health or mental health facilities the city currently has ongoing meetings with on a permanent basis?
Mr. Van der Lee. or Mr. Bush?
Madam Mayor, unless Mr. Bishop knows of any others, this is the only one that I'm aware of.
Through you, Madam Mayor, no, neither myself nor anybody in our division is involved with any other psychiatric hospital at this stage.
Thank you. That answer the question? Okay. And
So you have an amendment proposed by
we do.
Councillor Johnson. You need to get a seconder.
Do you just ask if it's acceptable first?
No.
No. So I need a seconder, please. Question? Oh, who's got their microphone? No one? Okay.
Not me. So if Councillor Johnson's amendment fails, are we still meeting with them for the first 6 months? Is that what this is saying?
That's it.
Through the chair.
Thank you.
Through the chair, yes. There's a 6-month operational review, so a biannual review that would go on for the next 2 years. Now, I understand in the period since it's been running, there have been no issues raised of any substance to us.
Okay. So we need a seconder for the amendment, which was Councillor Howlett. Thank you. Is anyone against? We need to vote. That's carried.
So if no one's against the amendment,
yep,
then it would become part of the substantive.
Okay, so now we go back to the substantive motion. That becomes part of it. So we go back to who was for and against.
So you're back to where you were for and against, Madam Mayor.
Yep, so I'll ask again, does anyone like to speak for?
The motion.
Anyone like to speak against? No? Councillor Miles, you're right of reply.
I don't think there's anything to reply to. Let's vote.
Thank you. Councillors, I'll now put that to the vote. Those in favour? Councillor Dean, Councillor Kaur, sorry. We are voting for the substantive motion now.
Which is the officer's recommendation as amended. Through the chair,
Thank you,
the officer's recommendation, which is the continuation of an approval for the site to operate, and you would continue now with your biannual reviews with the operator.
Okay, so I had Councillor Dean.
Okay, you have to ask
I'll have to ask again. Those in favour? Councillor Dean, Councillor Kaur, Councillor Oringo, Councillor Miles, Councillor Congerton. Oh, sorry, Councillor Deputy Mayor Zanino, Councillor Henderson, Councillor Prodovnik, Councillor Johnson, and myself. And those against? Councillor Catalano, Councillor Bowman, Councillor Congerton, and Councillor Howlett. It's carried. 9-4. Okay. Okay, thanks, councillors. We'll now move to 14.3.3. This is the proposed amendment for number 240 to local planning scheme number 17. This is to reclassify the lots 20 and 501 Adelaide Street, Hazelmere, from general rural to special use as a result of approved MRS amendment number 1375/27, LPS 17-240 on page 282. So this item was withdrawn by Councillor Catalano, and I will need a council member to move the officer's recommendation. And this is taken as read. So I do need a mover, please. Thank you, Councillor Congerton. And a seconder. Thank you, Councillor Johnson. Is anyone against? Do you wish to debate it? Thank you. Councillor Congerton.
I'll reserve my rights, thank you, to reply.
Thank you. Councillor Johnson?
Yeah, look, it's probably worth explaining what this one's about. So Lot 20 Adelaide Street is a contaminated site. It's probably one of the more seriously contaminated sites that we have. It's currently zoned, as you see here, as general rural, but it could not possibly ever be general rural ever again. It needs to be converted to something else, and that, as the applicant has proposed, it's special use. As councillors may be aware, this came to council, I think, a couple of meetings ago together with the next item as one single scheme amendment. It was split up because the other part of the site forming the other scheme amendment is not a contaminated site. I think the only way forward for this is to get this site having its own scheme amendment and its own zoning so that the owner can proceed. We do need this site remediated currently. Nothing can be done with it. So I would suggest councillors support this. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Johnson. Now, anyone like to speak against? Councillor Catalano?
Thank you. This area was a buffer between residential in High Wycombe on that side of the street, of Adelaide Street, and the industrial in Hazelmere. And it looks like this buffer is going the way of all the other buffers in the Hazelmere area, i.e. industrial creep is taking over any protection that residents and the environment have from the noise, odour, building bulk, industrial traffic, loss of residential amenity because of the conflict between industrial use and residential. Just as was approved in other Hazelmere special use zones, and we've seen all that transpire with the data centre school conflict. That's all a product of these buffers being whittled away and industrial creep. Thanks to some independent legal advice, we now know the Hazelmere Enterprise Activity Structure Plan was never officially registered, or if it was, it's now lapsed, despite the community putting in quite a bit of time into consulting with the city over the details of it. It would have been nice for that to have been confirmed by staff to the community and the council. However, here we are. We're back to whittling away buffers. This is definitely a contaminated site. I liked in let's just make the quote, some contamination issues. A little bit more than just some. I mean, it's a massive, great big contamination site. And I actually don't have much faith that it's going to be remediated, quite frankly. The costs of that are just too great. So what we're planning on doing is, what this is planning on doing is putting a strip of housing along the side of it. So there you go. We'll have a strip of housing. This is the buffer between the residences and the contaminated site. To my mind, that is absolutely reprehensible. And it would be reprehensible of council to approve residential housing on the edge of a contaminated site that is probably never going to be remediated. Let's face it, those few houses are not going to meet the costs of remediating that site. So the residents are now the buffers for the existing residents. This is not the kind of quality development that we should be, or that we should be proposing, approving, endorsing. And it's not the kind of residential development that we want our future ratepayers to be living in. Would you live there? Of course not. More ad hoc planning.
Thank you, Councillor Catalano. I'll ask anyone like to speak for the motion. Anyone like to speak against the motion? Councillor Howlett.
It wasn't so long ago at a meeting with staff I was told that special use zones are being phased out, and when it comes to the LPS 18 they don't want to have any of them in there. Yet here we are tonight, staff are recommending that we create another special use zone, which is shorthand for nightmare. I'm just leave it at that, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Howlett. Would anyone like to speak for the motion? Against the motion? No? You're right of reply. Thank you, Councillor Congleton.
Shorthand for nightmare. I'd like to see how nightmare is written in shorthand. It might enlighten me. But not your comments, unfortunately. The authority and discretion over this particular item has already been deemed in the report to be acceptable. And I have no issues with the report and the recommendations contained herein, and offer my support.
Thank you, Councillor Congleton. We're now going to put that to the vote. I'm going to ask those in favour. Councillor Dean, Councillor Corr, Councillor Ringo, Councillor Miles, Councillor Congleton, Deputy Mayor Zanino, Councillor Henderson, Councillor Brodovnik, Councillor Johnson and myself, and those against. Thank you, Councillor Catalano and Councillor Howlett. Oh, my apologies, Councillor Bowman, thank you. That's carried 10-3. Okay. Councillors, we move to 14.3.4. This is the proposed amendment to number 242, Local Planning Scheme number 17. That's to reclassify lots 3 and 192 Adelaide Street and lots 800 and 1 Stirling Crescent, Hazelmere, from general rural to special use as a result of approved MRS amendment number 1375/27, LPS 17-242 on page 307. And this item has been withdrawn by Councillor Catalano. I will need a council member, please, to move the officer's recommendation. It's taken as read, so I will need a mover, please. Was it, sorry, Councillor Miles, did you have your hand up? No. Thank you, Councillor Congleton. Thank you. And a seconder? We have a second. Thank you, Deputy Mayor Zanino. Is anyone against? Do you wish to debate it? Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Congleton.
I reserve my right. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
No problem. And Deputy Mayor Zanino?
No further comments.
Thank you. No, anyone against? Yes. Thank you, Councillor Catalano.
Oh, it's great to see all the support for these proposals. Ha! Come on. If they're so good, why aren't we hearing them? I tell you what is happening is there's going to be this buffer, supposed to be a buffer between industry and residential, the existing residential. No, what we're going to have is industry on the other side of the road. But don't worry about it, because there'll be a little bit of a landscaped area. Oh, fine. Okay, great. So who's going to look after this landscaped area? Is that our ratepayers, is it? Oh, okay. Landscaping is not a buffer. Industry is not compatible with residential. We have conflicts of use. That is why between industry and residential, as you all know, there should be a buffer. That's why this area was originally a buffer. The buffer was to protect the interface and avoid the conflict of land use, more loss of residential amenity through industrial creep. Let's really be frank with residents in Hazelmere and the adjacent areas that there are no protections to their residential amenity. It's open slather in Hazelmere, and without council deciding otherwise, who knows where the residential creep will end? Will it swallow the threatened ecological community across the road from this, well, sort of on the diagonal from this lot? Will the rural areas of Hazelmere that are still left around the lakes be next? I've read the submissions for expansion of industrial over the whole of the Hazelmere area. I've seen those submissions when in previous proposals to council about Hazelmere. This is part of that incremental advance of industry into areas that the community have already said they don't want it to go, to protect residents and to protect the environment. Residents believed they would have that protection of buffers and they should get what they were promised. Special use now looks to mean that it's just more industry with a little bit of scrubby vegetation that nobody actually really upkeeps, and this is not what was intended in the original HESP, which actually I remember quite a lot of people put a lot of work into from the community, but which never got registered. Thank you, council. Thank you, staff. What we've got is we've got conflict between residents and industrial. more ad hoc planning by this council. Congratulations.
Thank you, Councillor Catalano. I'll ask if any councillors like to speak for the motion. Any councillors like to speak against the motion? No? You're right to reply.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. As the previous item, the contents of the officer's recommendation, I'm happy. I've read the comments from the matters of consideration to the purpose of the intent, and I'm happy to proceed to support.
Thank you. Councillors will now put that to the vote. Those in favour? Councillor Dean, Councillor Core, Councillor Oringo, Councillor Bowman, Councillor Miles, Councillor Congerton, Councillor Deputy Mezzanino, Councillor Henderson, and myself. And those against? Councillor Catalano, Councillor Prodovnik, Councillor Johnson, and Councillor Howlett. So it's carried 9-4. Okay. Moving to 14.5.4, this is the 2025-26 budget review on page 424. This will require an absolute majority vote. I will need a council member to please move the officer's recommendation. I have a councillor. Thank you, Councillor Miles. Do I have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Congerton. Is anyone against? That's carried. Thank you. Yep. So, yep. You want to go back because he withdrew it. So, okay. So, councillors, 14.6.1 was withdrawn by Councillor Henderson.
No.
Sorry, my apologies. Was that?
14.6.1 is the item urgent business, the first item.
It's just 14.6.
Which is the waste supply.
That's right. It's just 14.6,
Yeah.
not 1. Okay, so this is the urgent business item for those watching at home. This item will need to go behind closed doors.
Move to
Just
go
one
behind
moment
closed
first.
doors.
Madam Mayor.
Before we do that, though, the CEO has just instructed that we need to have a resolution, though, first to allow the item to be brought.
Question.
Question first, Councillor Johnson.
Yeah, would it be convenient to rearrange the agenda and put this confidential item last by moving a motion to suspend the meeting procedure local law? I'm just looking for the section concerning the order of the agenda. And to move 16.1 to the end. 2.2, order of business.
2.23, thank you, Mr. CEO. A motion to change the order of business must include a reason. So, do you have a reason?
We normally do confidential items last.
What was that, sorry?
We normally do confidential items at the end of the meeting.
Do you have a seconder? Councillor Howlett, is anyone against? Do you wish to debate it? Is anyone else? Sorry, Councillor Ringo, did you have your hand up?
Yes.
Against? Okay, thank you. So I'll just put that to the vote. Those in favour of changing the order of business? Councillor Catalano, Councillor Johnson and Councillor Howlett. So that is those in favour, those against?
Change the order of business.
Councillor Dean, Councillor Core, Councillor Oringo, Councillor Bowman, Councillor Miles, Councillor Congerton, Deputy Mayor Zanino, Councillor Henderson, Councillor Brodovnik and myself. That's lost.
I move that we accept this as urgent business.
Thank you, Councillor Bowman. Your seconder. Thank you, Councillor Ringo. Is anyone against? No, that's carried.
I move we go behind closed doors.
Thank you, Councillor Bowman. Seconder, thank you, Councillor Miles. Is anyone against? No, that's carried. So for those people watching at home, we are just going to go behind closed doors for 14.6, which is the urgent business. We do have one more item after this matter if you would like to stay online and watch, and we'll resume as soon as possible. Thank you. Thank you. For those watching at home on live stream, we've just come back from behind closed doors for item 16.1, which was the waste service. I'm just going to get the title. Waste service agreement that council resolved to 1, resolve the confidential recommendation contained in this report. 2, authorise the CEO to undertake the administrative steps detailed in the report. And 3, the advice is to remain confidential until such time as all administrative steps detailed in the recommendation are completed. Councillor Henderson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. As a matter of urgent business, I move that the CEO to halt all activities with the appointment of the Planning Process Review Committee consultant appointment. 2, provide a report to Council for further consideration. And my reasons are, there is a significantly different view on the terms of reference and proposed consultant appointment, as was outlined in the deputation earlier. And 2, the committee has no delegated authority as under point 2 of the Planning Process Review Committee establishment, point 2 authority.
Madam Mayor,
Do I have a
I
seconder?
move to accept that as urgent business under 2.8.
Thank you. At a seconder. Is anyone against? No, that's carried.
Question.
Question, Councillor Miles.
Could we just make sure the wording's up before we vote on it in the final instance?
Yes.
Thank you.
So we have just had a mover and a seconder for this item for urgent business, and now we'll just wait for that to be put up on the screen.
So you now need to deal with point 7 of urgent business.
Okay. Yep,
I've got a
just one
question
moment.
too, thank
Yep,
you.
that's all right. We'll just wait for this to be put up on the screen. Everyone can have a read.
Can I ask, it's not actually about what's going up on the screen.
That's okay. We'll just wait for this to be dealt with first.
Sorry, Madam Mayor, what are we dealing with first?
I was just waiting to get that urgent business item fully written up on the screen. Councillor Henderson's just conferring with staff, just so that everyone could have a look at that before we move, and then we'll go into the questions first before we vote on this item. What number do we give this? Do we give it a number? Like 15
Sorry?
point. Do we give it a number though?
Yeah,
Like
14.62.
14.62.
So the last one, 14.61.
Yeah, that was right. Okay, is that correct, Councillor Henderson? Shh, councillors, we are live streaming.
Question.
I'm just waiting for this to be put up on screen, and I have a list of people for questions. Thank you.
You need to get first the consent of the presiding member to introduce the item. Not just not a motion.
So I'm not reading that out first.
So you
Read
need,
that.
so where this someone seems to identify a matter for a president and must advise, a member in a meeting may involve, not included in agenda, provided the presiding member to use first consented to business being raised.
So
So
read that out
you
then.
have to consent first
Okay.
before it can be introduced as an urgent business.
So I consent first, and then you read that.
If you consent, then it can be considered, it can be admitted for a
So I
consent
read this out
resolution.
though here
So that's what your first step is.
to read it.
No,
and say
that's what
consent.
you've got to give consent.
Yep, that's fine.
And then if
Okay.
you don't give consent, then it's a matter that
Okay.
is,
So, councillor, this urgent business item that's been brought by councillor Henderson is up on the screen now, and that's for item 14.62. Everyone's able to see that up on the screen.
Question.
So then, just one moment, councillor Johnson.
Well,
so
Councillor
then,
can ask a question at
I'm
any
in the
time,
middle of
Madam Mayor.
I'm in the middle of reading something. Thank you.
I'm asking a question, Madam Mayor. So the question is this:
I do.
How did
Thank
this
you, councillor Johnson.
get
I'm just
into
going to
the agenda?
continue here. I'm going to ask you to just
Councillor
pause.
may ask a question at
No,
any time.
when I'm in the middle of speaking, councillor Johnson.
Oh, there's a new. Right.
Okay. So, under urgent business 2.84, subject to the requirements of subclause 2, a member at a meeting may move a motion involving business that is not included in the agenda for that meeting, provided that the presiding member has consented to the business being raised. I give consent. And now,
you've got to do the next point, which is then
7.
an urgent needed by resolution of council. So you need a resolution.
Yep.
Of
So an
council.
item of urgent business may only be admitted by resolution of
The
council.
cart before the horse. Now you can do the resolution of council.
So I've already moved that it be accepted as urgent business.
Yes. And I had a
And
seconder.
it was seconded by councillor Congdon, I
Congdon.
believe. I haven't seconded that motion because that motion hasn't been dealt with yet.
Okay. And now move back to.
So now you did the next point, which is before an item begins that is under clause.
Yep,
four
so then we
debate.
move to 2.87. So before debate begins on a matter under this clause that is not the subject of a written report from the CEO to the meeting, the presiding member is to ask the CEO or the CEO's nominee to give an oral report to the meeting. Mr. CEO.
So, again, through the chair, just for the point of clarification, you have a motion there. It hasn't been entered into debate because you don't have a mover and a seconder. First, you'd need to have a mover and a seconder. At that point, an oral statement could be made, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. So I'll ask for a mover. Councillor Henderson.
I'll
And seconder.
second.
Thank you, Councillor Bowman. Is anyone against?
No, you need to
No.
deal with the next point, which is the oral statement. Then you can
Which
consider
is
debate.
that one?
No,
That one.
that one there.
Right, so the 7. So before debate begins on a matter under this clause that is not the subject of a written report from the CEO to the meeting, the presiding member is to ask the CEO or the CEO's nominee to give an oral report to the meeting. Thank you, Mr. CEO.
Thank you. I better resume my meeting procedures. And thank you. I think just for the purposes of the council members, this item has not been raised with the administration today for inclusion in the agenda. Therefore, it hasn't sat within the 72-hour principle, which is why the basis of an urgent business item. So there's a different pathway by which this is being sought to be introduced by council. It also hasn't specified specifically why it is urgent, but I suspect that'll come out during the debate. Madam Mayor, if I note that where there is risk for this in terms of statutory process. So I come back, council members, you have through a resolution resolved to establish a planning review committee. Through resolution of council, you resolved what the terms of reference for that committee would, which would include the membership of that committee. Then through resolution of council, you resolved that the committee itself would finalise the scope for the engagement of the consultant. So these are things you have resolved. Not the staff, but council. The first meeting of that committee was called, and in normal requirements, an agenda has to be produced for it. So using your terms of reference, the staff prepared an agenda for that meeting, which included a potential scope for the consultant. At that meeting, an alternate motion was raised by Councillor Henderson. That alternate motion sought quite a number of changes. And through the process of debate, there was inclusions in from Councillor Howlett, there were inclusions in from Councillor Catalano, Councillor Ringo and other members all had their say to that. It was a meeting that lasted an hour and a half, almost 2 hours, to finally set the scope. So I come back, the committee has acted within its terms of reference and set the scope. If I turn to process and whether you can stop this process at this point in time. The committee also heard from 2 presentations from members of the community who expressed concerns, and some of their concerns were dealt with specifically in terms of language applied then in the scope for the engagement of the consultant. Concerns were also raised that what staff were recommending that, look, you need at least 2 to meet the statutory requirement. I come back and use those words, the statutory requirements for procurement. Council has to operate within the local government procurement rules. They are statutes. The statutory requirement for an engagement scale required at least 2 quotes. That's up to the value of $50,000. Concern was expressed that that might be too few, so we made clear that we would obtain a third party to quote. Concerns were also raised about, and it been mentioned tonight by one of the members of the community, just to whether any other party has previously been involved in reviews with the city would participate. And we made clear the whole idea of doing an independent, I say again, independent review was to engage a consultant who has not previously done work for the city, but who has specialised experience in dealing with these types of reviews. So you're not dealing with just an ordinary planning firm, as you've seen items coming through tonight, and I don't mean to disparage planning firms, but particularly, but you would have someone whose background allows them for reviews. The 3 consultants, 1 from the East Coast and 2 from Western Australia, have all had detailed experience in that. The scope was then used to issue the procurement process through an EOI, or request for quotation specifically. That was issued last week with a requirement for that to close this week. Now, I turn to your meeting procedures 11.5(2)A and B. The 3 parties have all been spoken to beforehand. They are substantially engaged in the process. This has been formally communicated to them. Those parties are all expending time and effort now on preparing their response. Secondly, under B, the engagement must meet statutory process. It has to meet the procurement requirements. Applying the provisions of 11.5(2), a resolution of council will be deemed to have been acted upon as not able to be revoked if either of those 2 measures have been put in effect. Both measures have been put in effect. Remember too, you are not looking at a resolution of council to revoke or change. So you can't revoke the creation of the committee. What you're seeking to do is step into the committee itself and stop its processes. When you have already said to the committee, get on and do this, knowing that time of performance was a requirement. This council resolved specifically it wanted the review complete by the end of the year in order to facilitate responses that could go back to then the electors' meeting of next year. So you've said very specifically it had to start as quickly as possible, be complete by September, and allow for a response back by council in December. So those are directions you have given as part of your resolutions. Those are directions that are part and parcel of the process. If I make one final observation, Madam Mayor, the substantive issue that has been raised through to me, as I understand it, is the concern that there was a particular planning application that was of most concern to residents who live in the Vines that should form part of this exercise. Now, we have already looked at that once, and I've given you a report that was undertaken on that. But I've said to both the Chair and Councillor Henderson, there is nothing wrong with incorporating that as part of the scope. And the simplest way to do it is to issue an addendum to the scope, which can be done by contacting the 3 parties and say, one of the items you're going to look at will be a review of the Vines structure plan amendment. Now, the guidance was given to that effect to the Chair, and the Chair chose to call a meeting of the Planning Review Committee for this Friday specifically to include that. Concerns were raised tonight that there wouldn't be sufficient money to deal with it. As I note, the sum that Council has yet to provision in its budget, but as part and parcel of this, will provide for at least, in our view, around 140 hours of work. That is a substantive amount of work, knowing that the work that was undertaken previously on that same structure plan review was around 23 hours of consultants' time to review everything. So I would suggest, and I'd have to ask Mr Van der Linde, but we have spoken about it, there is sufficient money in the allocation to make as a simple addendum to include that. If that is the fundamental concern expressed to you by members of the committee, or to the committee from the community. But council started this process to have an overarching review of its planning process. If you simply want to constrain it to one item, you're not doing an overarching review. There is capacity, which is what the community have already resolved, to look holistically. There is nothing in the scope that's been sent for the consultant that will stop it looking. There's no red herrings here on issues of delegations, etc. There is plenty of capacity to do that. So my concern to you now is you're seeking through council resolution to stop something where I have concern to you that under 11.52 A and B of your meeting procedures, you may not have the authority. Depending on what council's resolution was tonight, I'll have to get that looked at independently by legal advice tomorrow.
Thank you, Mr CEO. I have a couple of questions. Councillor Howlett.
Thank you. I'm just wondering, when did the CEO formally send out the request for tenders following the meeting that we had, the first PPRC meeting?
Mr CEO.
Through the chair, I think they were issued Thursday or Friday, as we advised at following the committee, that we would seek to act on it quickly in order to achieve its time frame. But it was certainly, from memory, Friday at the latest.
Thank you. And follow-up question, have the minutes been made available from the first PPRC meeting?
Through the chair, that was already answered tonight. They are both circulated to the committee members and they're available publicly as well on the website.
So I would have received them, is that correct? All right. Thank you.
Okay. I did have earlier questions. Yes, Councillor Catalano, just a moment.
Alrighty. So, okay, we want to halt the activities on the planning process review, right? Okay. And then what? Report comes back to council, and then what can council actually do?
Mr CEO.
I don't know if that's a question to me.
Was that your question? Who are you asking?
What can council actually do about the appointment of consultants when it comes back?
Thank you.
So through the chair, subject to obviously this resolution being successful, as I said, the first thing I do is take some legal advice tomorrow about the effect of council's and the committee's previous decisions and whether there is capacity to stop the clock, something that's already started. That's something I don't have a complete confidence on, given that this has only been raised tonight at the course of this meeting at 8:30 without substantive discussion at all with staff. But if it were to come back, it would simply report everything I've just said as the steps we've taken. It would include legal advice as to whether you could or couldn't, and it would probably question us as to what are you seeking to do, given it was council's direction to undertake this following a motion raised at a electors meeting.
Right.
So the issue, no, sorry, I haven't finished yet. So the issue then, right now, is whether this council is able to control the committee that it established based on the one action of the CEO in implementing whatever something, putting something out to tender. So that's the issue, and that's what I'd like to see in the report, because I want to know whether this council has lost control of the committee, its committee, by virtue of the CEO putting something out to tender.
Question.
Just one moment, I'll let the CEO respond, Mr CEO.
Thank you. And you'd be aware through the Local Government Action section 5.41, it is a function of the CEO.
No, sorry, I'd like legal advice. I don't want your advice, thank you. I want legal advice.
Councillor Catalano, if you could keep your comments respectful,
I know,
please.
it was respectful. I would
Councillor
like
Catalano,
legal advice, thank you.
You've made that clear, thank you.
Thanks very much.
Now, I have a question from
To
Councillor...
answer that or not, Madam
No,
Mayor?
that's fine. Councillor Johnson, thank you. Next. I'll go down the line.
Yeah, I've got a question. If we've issued a request for tender, how can we stop that?
Mr CEO.
That is the very point I've raised, Councillor Johnson. You've already commenced statutory process around this. You've commenced the procurement. You have engaged people who are material affected by it, who are now expending both time and effort to prepare a quote. My view is the meeting procedures suggest that you can't, and I would take advice from either Ms Hodgins as the Executive Governance and a lawyer, or Mr Lee if you wish to on that matter.
Would you like to add anything
So,
there?
can I just ask a further question before we get into our legal advice? The question then is, do the meeting procedures local law, does it apply to the committee? Does all of the meeting procedures local law apply to the committee? Because this revocation, section 11.5, implementing a decision, says a resolution of council. Now, I've always understood that that would apply to a committee, but if it doesn't, then it looks like the committee is free to do what it wants. I've always understood that meeting procedures apply to committees. So, in which case this it does as well.
Through the chair, yes, it applies to both, and you'll find the reference to in this is where it refers to council or a committee. In that context, council, the same language covers. There is a slight difference in some of the preamble. For instance, if you look at the specific section that deals with conduct of committees, which is section 12, it has a specific part, so there are some specific restrictions, for instance, on what committees can do that council doesn't have those same restrictions.
So this section of 11.5, implementing a decision, section 2, that does apply to the committee. A resolution of council will be deemed to have been acted upon and is not able to be revoked if its contents or substance have been formally communicated to a person whose interests are materially affected by it. In which case, that is the people who've received the RFT and are working on it right now in good faith. So, I don't understand. What I'm trying to say is I do not understand how this could be lawful.
Through the chair, if I may, that is the test that would need to be made. Council have already established a committee. Council have set the terms of reference. Council started the statutory process for the committee to act independent. It'd be like coming in and saying, I want the ARIC committee to do something different when you've already set up the ARIC committee. So in this particular case, having given all that direction, you're prevented from, for instance, just disbanding it, etc. The committee have given its actions consistent with the council's direction. My view was you don't have the power to suddenly step in and now say everything is stopped, because you're effectively interfering with the committee that you have given its a responsibility. I mean, Ms Hodgins may have a view through the chair.
Thank you.
Through you, presiding member, I concur with what the CEO said. We've given effect to the decision of the committee from last Thursday evening. 1.4 of the meeting procedures local law says that all meetings, agenda forums and briefing sessions are to be conducted in accordance with these provisions, and meetings are defined to include a meeting of the council or of a committee. So I think that's fairly clear on the face of it, that it does apply to a meeting of a committee of council, and we have given effect to the request to go out to seek expressions of interest, as the CEO has said.
Now I had a question from Councillor Bowman.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through you to the CEO, does this committee have delegation?
Mr CEO.
Through the chair, it doesn't have direct delegation. It was set the requirement by the council to finalise the scope for the engagement.
So who approved the scope for the consultants?
So the committee effectively does that.
So why didn't that come to full council for ratification?
So Ms Hodgins, I think should answer this, Madam Chair.
Through you, presiding member, I'm just going back to the minutes of the May council meeting. Just bear with me.
Can I help you out there?
And you may.
If you go to page 36, which
Thank
was
you,
the
I've
endorsed
just got
terms
there.
of reference that this council approved, and point 2 it says authority, where it says no delegated authority to be provided to this committee. Therefore, if this council approved those terms of reference which gave no delegated authority to the committee, am I correct that the committee therefore cannot make a decision, and therefore any decision they make is a recommendation only to council, or it'd be a noting item, which is what is per ARIC? So is the endorsed terms of reference, including on page 36 in the May meeting, includes no delegated authority.
Through you, presiding member, yes, that's correct. The committee doesn't have delegated authority,
So-
but it was authorised by council to engage the consultant and to ask the consultant to undertake the review, which then will be reported back to council.
So in the March OCM, were the recommendation, the wording, not appropriately qualified consultant be selected by the committee? Selected, not actually engaged?
Through the chair, the process of selection occurs through the issuing of a tender for the services, and that is a statutory process.
Councillor Miles.
I had a few questions that were answered within the answers of other questions, but was there any discussion between Councillor Henderson and staff about any administrative tools available to alleviate the issue that he'd raised? Or was this the first time you're hearing about the issue?
CEO.
Through the chair, there's been no discussion with Councillor Henderson on his motion tonight about just stopping the process. There has been discussion with both he and certainly the chair about how the process could have an addendum added to address the issues of concern that were raised by the Vines Residents Association, that there was one application they specifically wanted to have reviewed. And as I've said tonight, that's a process we gave them guidance on, had formed part of a request by the presiding member to call a committee meeting on Friday.
And so follow-up question, that committee meeting that has been scheduled for Friday, that would be able to address that addendum to this, and effectively we don't need to have this motion passed.
CEO.
So through the chair, we have attempted through this process to try and action concerns that are raised by a resident group, that they wanted one specific planning item substantively reviewed. Not so much by anyone, as you saw questions tonight, that we have previously used, but some independent party, but in the context of the state planning framework. So that process has been put in effect to be discussed on Friday. That's still in train now. This motion would seek to stop everything. But as I've said, this motion, our serious concern is that we don't know that you can actually stop it, given based on all those decisions that have been given previous effect.
Okay, councillors, are there any further questions?
So the obvious question then is, why is this motion even on the agenda if it's unlawful? We've previously been told when councillors have submitted motions that they're unlawful and they can't be put on the agenda. So why is it even on the agenda? How did it ever get to this point? It's not even necessary and it's unlawful.
Yes, thanks.
Thank you. So through the provision of your meeting procedures tonight and decisions of council, you have chosen to accept an urgent business item. That's not a position from staff. The first time staff can give you guidance on this sits at 2.87, where the CEO is required, or the CEO's nominee, which includes Ms Hodgins, is required to give you an oral report. So we are sharing with you tonight our genuine concerns that the processes, etc., you're seeking to impede a lawfully conducted process through a committee. We don't believe that you can necessarily do that, but we would have to go and test that with further legal advice from another party. If that legal advice were to come back and say, no, everything has happened, this motion then, if it were passed, would be ultra vires and couldn't be implemented. We have tried genuinely to address the issue raised by a community group, that they wanted one matter dealt with, and we've given you a far simpler means by which they could do that, and that's simply issuing an addendum to the existing scope of work, having that approved by the committee on Friday. We then go back to the three consultants concerned and said, add this to the response that you're providing back to us. That's the simplest way of dealing with, we believe, those concerns.
Councillor Catalano.
My question is, if this motion's passed tonight, will the CEO halt all the activities with the appointment of the Planning Process Review Committee?
Mr CEO.
Thank you. I'm sorry, I can't talk. Thank you. And through the chair, the first thing I'll have to do is take legal advice on the motion first to determine whether it is lawful or not. Then, depending on that outcome, I would provide advice to council members, and whatever direction council gives Councillor Catalano, as I've mentioned before, section 5.41 of the Local Government Act, the responsibility of the CEO is to give effect to council's decisions.
Yeah, but will you halt all activities with the appointment of the Planning Process Review Committee, the appointment of the consultants, if this is passed? That's a simple question. Will you? Yes or no?
So through the chair, I just answered that. Exactly the steps I would have to go through tomorrow.
I understand that you've got steps, but while you're doing all that, will you halt the activities in accordance with this motion? I heard you quite clearly, but I didn't hear you say that you would or you wouldn't halt the activities.
So through the chair, I've given guidance that I have to take advice as to whether the motion moved is lawful or not. I can only act on a lawful motion. To do something which is unlawful would be unlawful by me.
I take that to mean that you won't halt all activities then.
Okay.
Well, I don't know. Is the activity going to be halted or not?
So the advice that was given was that determination needs to be made tomorrow following legal advice before he can either halt or not
So
halt
it won't be halted until legal advice is given, or it won't be halted until something else has happened?
Until the legal advice is sought.
Okay,
is
so
my
it won't be
understanding.
halted until legal advice is given.
That's my understanding. Councillor Miles.
Is that correct?
I move that the motion now be put.
Question.
Just hang on, we haven't had any
And I've
yet.
got a question.
Question, Councillor Johnson.
Yeah, my question relates to the Meeting Procedures Local Law, section 2.9, section 4. It says here, and this one has been done to me a few times, the CEO may, with the concurrence of the presiding member, exclude from the agenda any motion for which notice has been given that is deemed to be or likely to involve a breach of this local law or any other written law. So surely that applies in this case, in which case the decision is with the presiding member and the CEO whether to proceed with this motion.
You want me to deal with it?
Thank you.
Thank you, and through the chair, because this wasn't raised as a notice of motion and therefore notice wasn't provided, that provision doesn't apply directly. This is an urgent item where no notice has been provided. All I can do is give you oral advice. Had it been provided beforehand as a notice of motion, it would needed to have met the 15-day business requirement, and therefore I would have had a time to go and get some certain legal advice, etc. I don't. I'm only giving you the advice I can.
Councillor Miles. You had a question? Councillor Miles? Not now? Okay. Councillor Ringo, did you put your hand up then? No. Okay. So, councillors, this brings us back to, we had Councillor Henderson as the mover, Councillor Congerton as the seconder. There had been... Sorry, was it Councillor... Thank you. No debate had occurred at this stage. Councillor Miles, had you done your opening? No. So Councillor Miles.
We now need to debate the motion.
Okay. So he still gets to speak first. So
if you're going to debate it, you would open with Councillor Henderson.
oh, thank you, Councillor Henderson. I meant. You keep coming up tonight.
I can wonder how many people are going to speak before someone jumps the gun. Councillors, I just want to put some timeline stuff into place. Firstly, the committee met last Thursday. It spent, as the CEO said, almost 2 hours going through lots and lots and lots of stuff. In reality, it had only been given a week to deal with it, to look at it, and perhaps it was it had shortcomings in it. So that was the first problem that I had. But I also have a significant problem with the fact that after hearing the deputation tonight, that the terms of reference for the actual committee under authority, it says no delegated authority has been provided to this committee. Therefore, the committee has no power or ability to discharge any of the council's duties under the Act. So if the committee had a finished item to present to council, which was expected to come to this meeting as urgent business to make a recommendation, we would have dealt with it in that way, and council could have seen it and decided what it was going to do. So that, from a timeline perspective, would not have caused a significant dragging out. Would have been dealt with tonight. The thing that worries me the most here is that there are some key points that we didn't actually properly deal with in my mind with the motion that we dealt with last week, and that has come out. One of the reasons that Councillor Zanino has called a meeting for this coming Friday is to look at amendment to the recommendation, which I should have expected would then come back to council. We have a special council meeting on the 22nd of June. It could be added to that agenda by notice. The fact is it's not going to become a big dragged out timeline. That's why the word halt is used, councillors. Halt, not stop. I don't want to stop anything. I want to get on with this thing. And that's a key factor. So, the point is that the proposed consultants have got some idea now of where we're heading. We'll be able to convey to them whatever updates are going to happen before they put their bids in. So one of the issues that were raised tonight is that the process and how it's formed within the current recommendation, in their mind, limits the ability to get down to the number of their issues. So if we can do that, get that put to bed on Friday, and then bring it to a special council meeting, then we can all, if necessary, debate it again under notice of meeting and get on with it. Now, I recognise I'm a little over time, Madam Mayor. I'll ask for a bit of an extension because this is a big issue, if I can.
So a 1 minute extension?
Thank you.
Is anyone against? Okay.
Thank you. So I'm not overly concerned that the consultants will be disadvantaged. Certainly, if a contract had been signed and dealt with, wouldn't be able to do anything. I understand that. We're still in process to get something done. So to me, the enactment is actually appointing a consultant. But I am very specifically concerned that I was of the understanding that we had no authority. What would happen is it would then come to council for a decision. So that's why, having heard tonight what was said, I think we do need to give that opportunity for it to be worked over again on Friday when we have our council meeting. So councillors, it seems like it's complicated, but it's a matter of just getting back down to the basics and having council deal with the detail. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Anderson. I'll ask Councillor Bowman as the seconder.
Madam Mayor, before I speak, can I ask the mover if he'd be happy to change the word halt to pause? I think I heard Councillor Johnson say that before.
Yes, thank you. I would accept that.
Okay.
So, Madam Mayor, I just want to raise, this is not just a Vines issue. All the residents and ratepayer groups came together. They came in force. It's a common issue. So we need to make sure what our residents and ratepayers groups have asked for, we can deliver. Madam Mayor, the scope for the consultant is not something that I can support, and it would never be something I could support as it was written. Now, some people question why I didn't go on the planning committee, amongst a number of things. It was quite simple. In the terms of reference that this council adopted in the May meeting at page 36.2 authority, it said no delegated authority can be provided to the committee. Mm-hmm. That is the same as the audit committee. All decisions of the audit committee are either for noting, which are really no decision, or they're recommendations to this council. On that basis, it was my understanding, and I believe a number of councillors' understanding, that the scope for the consultant would come to full council for ratification. And if it did, I would have made a number of changes because I do not agree with it. And I believe some of the committee members have expressed that same concern. No different that the appointment of the consultant is not for the committee. They get to select, but then it would be this council would actually appoint. Madam Mayor, all we're saying is pause. Let's get this right. As Councillor Howell said earlier in the meeting, I also don't want to see $50,000 wasted on a report that doesn't actually do what most of us councillors think we're trying to do and what our residents and ratepayers group have asked us for. Putting another pause on it for 14 days, because that's all it is, to make sure we have got the correct scope. And I understand that 3 consultants have been asked to put a price in, but I question the ability of actually asking for that. Now, that might be semantics, but the issue is let's get the scope right first. Let's then pick the right consultant and let's get the outcome that I think we all can do. And this is to improve what we do at the City of Swan.
Thank you very much, Councillor Bowman. Is that a question?
May I now move a procedural motion?
No, because we've had the mover speak,
I can,
seconder,
right?
and now I need to ask if there's anyone against. So there's no one against?
I'd like to speak for.
But if there's no one against, then it's carried.
You have to ask now.
I did ask, and now Councillor Howell has decided she's against. So
If there's nobody else wants to speak against it, you have to see if there's anyone who wants to speak for it.
that's we can do for Councillor Johnson.
Yeah. Look, Council's been quite interesting, this procedural discussion tonight. And the reason I think we're getting tied in knots here is that, believe it or not, we've not done committees before. So we've never, in my time on council, formed a committee to do something like this. And I think we're simply not sure how the meeting procedure local law applies. We're not, as Councillor Bowman has pointed out, if it doesn't have delegated authority, then it really needs to make a recommendation to council that comes here. So I think that's why we're getting tangled up. If we pause this, then I think it's making clear to the people who have received the RFT and they may be responding to it, that their work is not wasted. They can simply stop. So in the event we just said it's halted or it's stopped, then they're going to be asking for their for payment for the amount of work they've put into business development. I think asking for it to be paused is reasonable. The CEO can determine tomorrow whether it's lawful. One question I've got about the operation of the committee: if we've determined tonight that the meeting procedure local law applies to the committee, then if you're changing the decision of the committee, then I think you need to do a revocation motion in that committee and not simply pass another resolution. So I'll be supporting the motion, but I think we need to perhaps to learn how to do committees. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll ask anyone to speak against.
Can I ask a question?
Question.
Did Councillor Johnson
No, in the middle of
just
more
make a
second.
speech in
Thank
favour
you.
of the procedural motion just then?
No. No.
Oh, you didn't accept it?
No.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll ask, does anyone like to speak against? Anyone like to speak for? No? Thank you. Your right of reply.
Councillors, I think it's a whole lot more clear now. Obviously, it looked like it was going in all directions from the questions that were being asked, because clearly we didn't have enough upfront information. I think now we know where we're heading, what needs to be done. We just need to get this thing finished. We need to make sure that we do what the community are asking for, and hopefully we can get some outcomes that work for everyone. Hope you support my motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Henderson. Councillors, we're now going to put that to the vote. Those in favour? We had Councillor Catalano, Councillor Dean, Councillor Carr, Councillor Ringo, Councillor Bowman, Councillor Congerton, Deputy Mayor Zadino, Councillor Henderson, Councillor Brodovnik, Councillor Johnson and myself. And those against? Those against? No, that was it, sorry, Councillor Miles and Councillor Howlett. Oh, sorry, I couldn't see your hand. I couldn't see your hand. Thank you. So it was just Councillor Miles. So that's carried.
12-1.
12-1.
So we move now to 15.1, Madam Mayor.
Yes, so councillors, this brings us to the last item tonight. Tonight's Order Council meeting is 15, which is motions of which previous notice has been given. We had 15.1, Councillor Brodovnik, rates category review, page 430. Councillor Brodovnik submitted the following notice of motion as per clause 12B of the City of Swan Meeting Procedures Local Law 2023. And Councillor Brodovnik made amendments to her motion. If you'd like to please read out your amended motion.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Councillors.
The motion is that Council advise 1, the CEO prepare a report for Council to consider creating a discretionary concession category under Section 647 of the Local Government Act for volunteer-run not-for-profit community cultural organisations. 2, for that report to include establishing a new discretionary rates concession category that includes an eligibility criteria, including demonstrable public benefit and community access. 2, or another dot, minimum level of community programming, financial implications, governance safeguards, applicable percentage concessions, including a consideration of the 75% rates concession exemption given to sporting clubs in recognition of their community benefit. 3, for the concession to be considered as part of the 27-28 annual budget approval. 4, for this report to be presented back to Council's consideration before the December 2026 Council meeting. The reasons are that Council currently recognises sport, heritage, farmland and charitable structures, but not volunteer-run multicultural community organisations unless they fit a narrow legal category. Our rates concessions should be expanded to recognise the community benefit provided by volunteer-run cultural organisations. Council already uses discretionary concessions under Section 647 for multiple categories. Nothing in the Act appears to prohibit Council from creating a new concession category for eligible not-for-profit cultural community organisations. One example is the Polish Club, as an incorporated not-for-profit association with demonstrated community benefit.
Thank you, Councillor Brodovnik. Do I have a seconder? Oh, very, very keen, Councillor Congerton. Thank you. That was so fast. That's fine. So I had a seconder with Councillor Congerton. Sorry? I can't quite...
So I'd like to move an amendment, if I may, to point 3, to have
What was your amendment?
To have the word draft put in on the 2027-28.
Councillor Brodovnik, is that
Yes,
acceptable?
thank you. That's good.
Thank you, Councillor Congerton. Is anyone against? That's carried. Thank you very much, councillors, for that long order and council meeting there tonight and getting through everything. Thank you to those people watching at home online. Thank you to staff and wishing everyone a safe trip home. Thank you.